What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Moda Center confetti fillers. Vacations ended today as confetti fell on the Portland Trail Blazers. They get their first win of December, breaking a 7-game losing streak. This was an interesting game to say the least. The Blazers popped off in the first half. They had they had a 41-point first quarter and a 40-point second quarter, two 40-point quarters to start things off. Ben Mclemore went on an insane stretch in the first half. Damian Lillard is back. He has a 43-point game tonight. The Blazers, of course, made it interesting down the stretch. The Hornets were able to cut the lead down, and this game looked like it might be a horrible choke job for the Blazers, but they still get the win nonetheless. And after how much losing they've done recently, I don't care how they get a win. Just the fact that they got a win feels nice. We can have a post-game show where we're talking about a win. So maybe not as many trades tonight. We'll have a ton of time in the future to discuss trades and discuss different things. Tonight, we get to talk about a game that the Blazers actually freaking win. So, coming off, the losing streak, and we've been discussing trades heavily. Eric, what's kind of the feeling coming out of this one for you?
Happy to get a win. Also, might sound blasphemous, but kind of okay with whatever happened in this game, because at some point, I already know it's going to happen. I mean, we've seen this play out before. I've mentioned it as well. Blazers are going to go on a run. They're going to make the playoffs, and unless they do something in the playoffs that they do not seem equipped to do at the present moment, or make a big trade that vaults them into a spot where they are going to have a better showing in the playoffs, I don't know if I can get excited about them just making the playoffs again this year. And I was getting kind of excited about some of the other alternatives had we kept sucking. And who knows, this one game doesn't change that either way. But so I'm hoping, because we saw with Olshey, we go on a little winning streak and start playing better, and that kind of signified to him we didn't really need to make a change or anything. So as long as the people in charge of that, specifically Joe Cronin, realize that this team, no matter how well they play, I think they still need to make some sort of move and shake up just to, improve some of the areas that are not improving organically. But that being said, yeah, great to get a win, and they played really well. It was fun to watch them in the first half. A lot of problems, old nemesis, like the failure to be aggressive out of when teams are trapping Dame in the second half. So I was a little disappointed to see that play out. But yeah, overall, just happy to get a win.
Yeah, I mean, Olshey was scared to take a risk. I don't know if it was necessarily that he didn't think that they needed better talent. I don't know, but I mean, I don't think this is a situation where we have to worry about our first win in December, coming on December 17th, turning into something where the front office just thinks we're good to go and turns complacent. So that is the least of my worries. We will continue to discuss trades going forward. As far as this game goes, the Blazers set a franchise record in the first half, dropping 16 threes. Now, their shooting performance waned in the second half. A big part of that was Charlotte ratcheted up the defensive intensity. Part of the reason the Blazers scored 81 points was Charlotte was really bad defensively, and they aren't a good defensive team, but Portland made the most out of it. An 81-point half that's tied for the most points in a first half of any team in the league. Of course, the other team that scored 81 in a first half was Boston in Portland against these Trailblazers. So, second 81-point first half that we've seen this year. At least it came on our side. But, I mean, through the course of this game, you kind of saw basically what works with the Blazers offense and then what goes wrong with the Blazers offense. They moved the ball really well in the first half. They got into things fast. They looked for the right cutters, but didn't force passes. They took the right shots. You know, it helps that Dame gets going, and then when he's able to knock down threes and defenders have to play out on him more, he has an easier time driving, drawing defenders, and kicking, and that sparked a lot of it. But I thought the Blazers did a really good job in the first half of just collectively moving the ball. Offensively, I thought they were very, very solid. Of course, 81 points, you know. They made a lot of shots. They were like 16 for... Or they were like 16 for... What were they at half? 16 for what? Do you know?
I don't know how many attempts they had.
It was like 16 for 28 or something insane. I think they were shooting 58% from 3.5. So obviously that'll help when you knock down shots like that. But overall, just the process of their offense was really, really good. And then Charlotte ratchets things up pressure-wise in the second half, and the Blazers score 44 points. The Blazers kind of fall out of things, and this is what I've said all along, is when the Blazers are pressured with the ball in their hands, when it's not a guy like a Dame or it's not a guy like CJ, when it's anyone else on the roster and there's ball pressure, they kind of fold. They don't attack it enough. They don't make the right decisions often enough. They get loose with the ball. Basically, you just pressure the ball, and Portland's offense falls apart and becomes stagnant. You saw Anthony Simons isolating a lot there in the second half. I think a lot of that was out of necessity. Things just bogged down collectively. I don't think it was Simons' fault. So you see the night and day difference with our offense, you know? I mean, we got some open shots. Norm got an open shot and didn't hit rim, bricked it off the backboard, and then he airballed again. So it was funny because you could see how we had a lot less of a rhythm there in the second half, simply because we were out of sync and not moving the ball, and there wasn't a rhythm to the offense, and guys that were making open threes in the first half, if they got an open three in the second half, for a guy like Norm, you know, it was there were some rough moments there. So overall, I think this was a great game to just see the difference between how our offense the contrast between how our offense needs to be and how it is when teams just simply pressure the ball, and that's, you know, been the issue as of late. The Blazers fold when they're pressured.
Yeah, and so real quick, Mclemore, you did not see me on TV tonight because I was not at the game.
Yeah, Eric's right here. Eric wouldn't be.
My mom was on TV at the game, but I was not with her. So
maybe he meant to say Eric Grant's mom and didn't put it in. I don't know.
Well, someone else said they saw me earlier in the stream, and I'm like, nope, that's not true.
Maybe you have a doppelganger, man.
Maybe. But yeah. So the trapping of Dame. So we've broken out the clipboard. We haven't done it this year, but last year and the year before we did this a lot, where our only outlet out of it is to throw a cross-court pass to CJ usually and have him just basically create or do whatever. And tonight, we don't have CJ, so it's Norm in that spot, and we keep doing the same thing. And it was just getting so frustrating because we pass across court, and we weren't aggressive. We weren't hitting the open guy quickly. There was no movement like we talked about last game. And then, it's just like we weren't doing anything to make them stop. And it's not like they were double teaming Dame off a pick and roll. They were just sending a double team, which should be really easy to exploit. And so, I mean, I guess it hasn't happened a lot this year because Dame struggled, but I really hope Chauncey watches the second half of this game and realizes that not to do what they did when the double team comes for Dame, that they have to have a better plan to attack it to get better shots.
I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily a problem with the plan. You got to move the ball quickly to beat a trap, right? You have two people committed to one guy up close to half court. You have a 4-on-3 on the back end, but there's a limited amount of time that's a 4-on-3. You know, once somebody out of the double team recovers to a guy, it's, you know, normal 4-on-4, 5-on-5 basketball. So you have a thin window of time where you can take advantage of that. And a lot of times it's like we'd make the pass out of the trap to Norm or Rocco, and they would hold the ball for a second and a half. And that might not seem like much, but that's a huge amount of time when you're trying to exploit a trap. So overall, I think that, the floor setup was fine. It's just players, you got to make quick decisions, and you got to know where to go with the ball. And the other problem is I felt like guys just kind of stood around the 3-point arc where they might have had a cut and been able to get a layup, you know what I mean, out of the trap. So that's the thing, is like Golden State handles traps really well. Steph Curry, they pick it apart. They pass quick, they move quick, they make the right cuts, they get layups or wide open threes for good shooters. We struggled dealing with the trap. But I don't know if it was necessarily the setup. I just think it's guys that aren't making the right basketball plays as basketball players.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw several times where we threw that cross-court pass where it was slow developing and allowed them to recover. And it was mostly Norm catching the ball. We didn't really have anyone flash to the middle outside of one time where Mclemore did. I forgot what happened on that play, but the other, all the other times we did it, we seemed to just try to break it by throwing the cross-court pass. Where I think when we have Nance and stuff like that in the game, that's where you throw it to him right at the top of the key and let him attack there.
Well, that's what's frustrating for me, is that shouldn't be something that the coach has to say to them. You know what I mean? You're in the NBA, read the court, move to the right spot. It's just basic basketball stuff, So overall, it's not like a situation where Dame's being trapped on the sideline and by half court, and then CJ's the outlet 35 feet away from the rim across the court where they don't even have to guard him and they can stay home on everybody else, which is what we did last year. I thought we had a better floor setup against it. It's just guys got to make basketball plays. They got to be smart basketball players. They got to make the right pass. They got to make quick decisions. They got to cut to the rim. They got to drive. And that's the thing, is when the pressure is ratcheted up, these guys, I don't know what it is, but mentally, offensively, when the pressure's ratcheted up, it's like these guys forget how to play basketball. You know what I mean? It's like Dame's trapped and we pass to Rocco and he just kind of catches the ball and just stands there and doesn't move it, and everybody's just kind of standing around. And it's like we wilter too much under pressure, and when Dame's kind of taken out of things and denied and trapped and whatnot. So you saw that in the second half. That's something that the Blazers have always struggled with under Terry Stotts, now under Chauncey Billups. So, I mean, if we're just looking at this team as if they make a run and get into the playoffs, they have to be able to handle that. They absolutely have to be able to take advantage of when teams take Dame out of the game with double teams. So, Dame still got his in the second half, but he wasn't able to create for others as much. He wasn't able to have as big of a hand in just kind of picking apart the defense like he did in the first half. So, overall, it was just interesting to see. I think this might have been the most obvious game of the season, showing the contrast in our offense when it's good and our offense when it's bad, and how the opposing defense affects that.
I guess happy we saw the good part.
Yeah, we're starting here
lately we've gotten mostly bad and hardly any good.
Yeah, so we start constructive dialogue here with some they struggled in the second half, but I mean that first half was maybe the funnest half of the season, and as Blazer fans we needed that, Eric. We needed that, chat. We needed a half where we could just enjoy basketball, because people haven't been enjoying anything to do with this organization all month. It's our first win of the month. So it was just nice to have a half that was an enjoyable half. And the main things with that was the ball movement. The style of basketball was extremely enjoyable to watch. I wish we could do that more. We played maybe our smartest offensive half. We just made the right decisions. But that's the thing, is they weren't pressuring the ball a lot. We were able to get comfortable. And that's the thing, is we can make smart decisions when we're comfortable. It's what if we're being pressured? What if they're double teaming Dame? We have to be able to figure that out. But, we played a smart half overall, offensively in the first half. And then you have just guys making shots, man. Ben Mclemore was insane. 6 threes in the first half. Olshey always got criticism for signing fringe rotational role players that sucked. which he deserves that criticism. Mario Hezonja, Anthony Tolliver, Nick Stauskas. I mean, I guess Nick Stauskas had a couple big games, but he sucked. Like, a number of guys that just, fringe rotation guys that sucked. So it's, Ben McLemore's been playing great. And he has a track record. He didn't shoot the three ball well last year, but he's been a pretty good shooter, and he's still a little bit of an athlete. I mean, he had a fast break dunk, and then had some good defensive moments. He's always looked at as a below average defender, but I don't think he's like horrible where it's not a situation where he can't be competitive. So overall, like having a fringe rotation guy where we're down CJ and he can step in 27 minutes and have a 28-point game where he just pops off is kind of a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean?
A breath of fresh air.
A breath of fresh air. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we know he can get insanely hot from three, and yeah. So what I like about Mclemore is, you mentioned he's not the greatest defender, but out of all our players, I see him at least trying the most. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not very smart on defense. He's not in the right position a lot. You can take him out of a play by moving smartly, but like, he always at least tries to recover and doesn't give up on a play and all that kind of stuff. So props to him for that. And there was a Brandt's breakdown where there was a play where his guy cut backdoor, and I'm going to explain why this was not necessarily his fault, and also why it was encouraging to see him after the play going to Billups and asking him to make sure if he had the right assignment there or what he was supposed to do. And so it's good that he was actually trying to learn from his mistake and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
but you got a couple positive plays, right? Because we haven't been able to discuss positive plays in your breakdown. I can't remember the last time we discussed a really positive play.
I'm sorry, I'm going to disappoint you.
Eric, no, I'm disappointed, but I mean, in film sessions, I do think it's good to look at the things you do well to show you, like, we need to do more of this. But obviously, even in a win, enjoy the feeling, but still made a lot of mistakes in this one to improve from. So, constructive.
I gotta give the people what they want. They now point out plays to me to please put on Brandt's breakdown and stuff like that.
So give the people what they want, I guess. I mean, I think some people enjoy watching us more when we have a catastrophic loss. Mm-hmm. So it's more entertaining for them, I guess.
So yeah, my three plays aren't meant to be like super angry like Wednesday night, but yeah, it's just
some headphones,
some things that we need to do a better job of, why we have these breakdowns even after having a really good defensive first half in this game, and then just completely falling apart in the second half.
Yeah, agreed. The other, like, Ben McLemore made shots, but Dame had a Dame game today.
Mm-hmm.
Dame had his best game of the season, 37 minutes. It's not even like he had to be run into the ground either, because Chauncey has been prone to do that. Plays 37 minutes. 12 for 19, 43 points on 19 shots. He's 6 for 11 from the three-point line. And as we know, like, especially early on this season, Dame hasn't been getting foul calls, but he gets to the line 14 times, makes 13 of those. Last game, he was 5 for 11 from 3, but like 1 for 10 from 2. So to see him bounce back and go 6 for 8 from 2 tonight, on a night where he was making threes, 6 for 11, so he's 11 for 22 in the last 2 games, so the three-point shooting is back. Hit a couple patented Dame jumpers, it's not just basic threes. And then explosiveness, looked explosive today. He had his first dunk of the season. Defensively, I thought he had some really good moments. There's a couple mistakes here and there, but he had couple good moments. I mean, the baseline jumper Miles Bridges hit that like rimmed in was a fantastic contest, like fantastic defense by Dame. You know, sometimes they'll still score. I thought Dame had a really solid defensive game. So overall, just all around, I mean, he picked apart Charlotte in the first half with his shot making, and then sparked our ball movement on a number of plays where he drove and maybe didn't get the assist, but got the hockey assist, or just, you know, kind of sparked some of our flow of the offense. So it was really enjoyable to watch him tonight.
Yeah, great game from Dame. And I'm not gonna, I mean, anytime Dame hits a shot, it's like he's back, but like, let's not go overboard. Let's just hope that Dame can play consistently well, and we don't need like this kind of game from him every night, but it's just nice to see him have a really good and efficient game.
I just think the talk about him being past his prime and regressing and that type of stuff is premature and ridiculous. Because that's the thing, is when he's struggling to shoot the ball, that doesn't suggest to me that he's past his prime. You know, that's usually one of the last things to go. So when he's struggling to shoot the ball, like, that's going to make things, every area of the game offensively is going to be harder for him, right? Because defenders don't have to respect it as much, you know? And that's the thing, is he's able to get into the lane at will because defenders have to just stay completely attached to him, or else he'll hit a step back, or, you know, he's willing to shoot from 30, so you got to guard him out there. When he's not making those types of shots, defenders can play a little bit more off of him, and then it's a little bit harder to get by them, a little bit harder to suck in the defense, make the pass out, a little bit harder to get to the rim and score, you know, because that's the thing, is like Dame is a good finisher, but most of the time in, you know, past few seasons, a lot of his finishes come when he's able to just completely clear himself of his initial defender. You know what I mean? Because he's able to get them out, get them leaning forward so much, or get them guarding him 30 feet from the rim, that he's able to just get completely by him and then rearrange around the secondary defender coming over to help. The problem is this year, I felt like defenders have been able to drop back a little bit more. And therefore, even if Dame gets a step on him, those defenders are still in the play and able to maybe block his shot, or, you know, kind of smother him to the point where some of his finishes aren't good enough looks for him to finish consistently. So I think, honestly, the shot is the biggest thing. I think part of it is he was getting screwed on foul calls, and we saw that with like James Harden early. We saw it with a number of stars early on in the season. I feel like the NBA has finally gotten back to a good point in terms of what they call and what they don't. So that, combined with making some shots, just makes everything else easier on him, and he still looks explosive. Obviously, he has the ab thing, but that's not regression due to age. That's an abdominal injury that maybe is worse than it was in the past couple seasons. So overall, I think the talk about him regressing was premature, and I thought tonight he showed why it was.
Yeah, the only thing I'm concerned about in the third quarter, with about 7 minutes left, he was very visibly grimacing in pain. And after sitting out for 10 days and getting that cortisone shot, seeing him in just, I think this is his fourth game back, already having to deal with the pain again, that's probably not a good sign long term.
But he dunked right after that.
I know. He tried to shoot a really long three right after that too. I think he's just trying so hard to be like, you know, I'm not letting you bother me. And so he's trying to shoot the long three still. He tries to throw it down, and tonight he actually does. But there's been a couple times this season where he has grimaced like that, and then he tried to posterize someone. It hasn't worked out too much this year, but because I think that was his first dunk of the season. But yeah, overall, a great game from Dame. I just hope that this isn't a situation where like the cortisone and the treatment isn't working. You're muted.
You're right. Here's the thing. Good, you caught that fast. He has played through it in the past and still been good.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
You know, so yeah, I'm just saying, like, his struggles this season might be completely unrelated to the ab thing. It might be completely unrelated, you know? I don't know how it is compared to previous seasons, but I don't think it's a situation where if it's bothering him, he can't get back to how he was last year. He just has to dial in his three-point shot. Obviously, brand new basketball might have affected him, and he's getting more used to that now. Now he's getting the calls that he otherwise wasn't. You know what I mean? So there's so many factors that potentially went into his struggles that I'm not going to worry too much about the ab thing. I don't know. Maybe it's at the point where if the season falls apart, they rest him, which might be a good decision. But right now, I think he's dealt with this. It's just he has to make shots. He has to make threes. And a lot of his misses were close. So it wasn't a situation where it's like, oh, he can't make shots because of his abs. Because he was like barely missing short, barely missing long, in and out, whatnot. So I'm pretty confident going forward in Dame right now.
Yeah.
But you want to thank Donos?
Yep, let's do it.
Shout out to Shaggy Squid, $5 Australian. Dono says, we win. Isaiah Thomas is hooping. He dropped 19 for the Lakers, but the Lakers lost. So another W, in my opinion. It is a very good day today. Let's go Rip City. Appreciate you, Shaggy Squid. Shout Dame's GOAT with the $5 Dono says, Watford has been really solid, surprisingly, and also hopefully Dame is back to being Dame. Appreciate you, Dame's GOAT with the $5 Dono. We'll talk about Watford when we get to the player cards. I've liked what I've seen from him, though. I get excited when he gets into
Don't talk about Watford.
Don't. My bad. Not my fault. Dame's GOAT. It was his dono. But appreciate you, Dame's GOAT. And then Bob and Weave, $2 dono, says, Norm's so awful on defense, y'all convinced me. Appreciate the $2 dono, Bob and Weave. What'd you think of Norm defensively today, Eric? I know I told people to focus on his defense. What'd you think?
I know you're saying you don't like the negative plays that I said were on Blair's breakdown, but I think they kind of illustrate some of the points you've been making, so that's why I included them instead of
Okay, I'm down with that. I'm down with that. Norm had 5 assists today, which was nice, and he played 40 minutes, but defensively he's been rough. And then, dude, down the stretch, he was selling. He was horrible down the stretch of the fourth quarter. Just a extremely strange turnover, and he basically airballed 2 straight jump shots, and one of them was an open 3. I don't know what happened to him down the stretch, but it was weird. And then he had Ben Mclemore wide open in the corner and decided to drive into traffic and got his shot blocked. When Ben McLemore's been hot all game. He drove me crazy down the stretch, and defensively, he needs to be better, absolutely. He is playing a lot of minutes, 40 minutes tonight, but yeah, Bob and Weave did his homework that I assigned him, so shout out to him and appreciate the $2 donut.
And shout out to Allison, who notified me of this play and was like, I was watching off ball and I saw this defensive breakdown. I want you to discuss it or whatever and tell me what went wrong. And so, like I said, a couple other people did that as well with other plays. So it's really cool to see you guys noticing these kind of things that you wouldn't normally notice just watching a game without caring about what's happening on the court other than who scores and who misses the shot or whatever.
Yeah, that's extremely cool to me. But before we get into Brant's breakdown, let me get the team stats up here. We didn't have team stats last game. I was going to compare them, but this is 2 games ago. But Krish is back today. So shout out to Krish being back. Here is our team stats today. The shooting numbers look extremely good. 52% from the field, 45% from 3. We made free throws. Krish, I don't know what the percentage there is.
64%.
Krish, 16 of 18 is not... Krish...
8 of 9.
Krish didn't...
80s.
Yeah, Krish is rusty. He didn't... He took last stream off, man. His first stream he took off all year, so I'll give the kid a break. 7 offensive boards for us. Obviously, you're not going to get as many offensive rebounds.
88.9%. 89%.
89% for Portland. So, given how they've struggled from the free throw line, that's good.
Well, I think only Dame and Nas shot free throws in this one.
Weird. Dame had 14, Nas had 4. I
I think
think
he had
so.
2, so someone else might have had 2 somewhere. Oh, Nance had 2 at one point.
Yeah, Nance had 2 at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. You talk about the rest of the stats. What else do you see here while I get Brant's breakdown ready?
Well, we only had 5 turnovers in the first half, which is really good. 12 in the second half, which is very, very bad. So once again, kind of contrasting first half to second half. Fortunately, not many fast break points. Charlotte, we know, is a good transition, fast breaking team. So 15 points you don't like to see, but I guess that's not like terrible against them. But yeah, having that 29-point lead go down to what, 7 or 8 at one, or no, 6 at one point, I think, was kind of a little nerve-wracking there at the end. But overall, I felt like we did a good job. Something we haven't talked about too is the foul trouble for both Nance and Nurk in this game. Nurk had some really bad fouls that caused that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more when we get to their player cards.
And so I thought still winning the battle of the boards despite having to play small a lot was a decent job there as well.
Yep. Let's move on to Brains Breakdown. Good look at the team stats as always. That might be my favorite graphic. Those just always... The team stats page looks... I don't know. It's pleasing to my eyes. Here we go. We got play number 1. Let's see here. Play number 1. What do we have here, Mr. Brandt?
All right. So we have a defensive possession in the first half. We're, of course, set up pretty well at the beginning, like we normally are. So I think that's Rozier is going to get a dribble handoff, and we're going to go to the next slide. And Rozier, Norm's actually going to do a good job of fighting through. Watford is there just in case, and then Watford's going to recover into the third slide here, but we're all still set up really well on this possession defensively. Rozier drives. Watford has to come and help again. So Rozier, if he sees this, could probably, like a really good passer, might have been able to dump that off to Washington there. But Rocco is kind of there just in case, but he wasn't able to find him. And the defense recovers into the fourth slide, which Rozier has to kick out to Caleb Martin. Good closeout by Mclemore, not allowing a shot. And then Martin's going to pass up top to LaMelo. And once again, Blazers. So we're halfway through the shot clock. They've ran some action, and Portland is back into perfect position again, right?
Yep.
So good so far. 12 seconds, perfect, right? So they're going to have 2 guys in the near corner here, Rozier and Caleb Martin. And so watch Mclemore and Norman Powell on the baseline there. So as we go to the next slide, they're still kind of in the same position. Martin's going to kind of act like he's going to set a screen. So in this position here, when you have 2 guys that close in the corner, if what's going to happen is Caleb Martin's going to cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation, the top guy, which is Mclemore, would take the outside guy, which is going to be Rozier. And Norm should go with the cutter because he's there with him.
Yep.
But since it's Mclemore's guy, so as we go to the next slide...
Yeah, well, another way to explain that is basically these 2 guys just zone up. Norm takes the interior, Mclemore takes the outside pass. So that it's otherwise called zoning up oftentimes. So... Next slide.
Sorry, Cody Martin.
Is it Cody? You gotta learn your twins, man. Come on.
So Norm lets Cody go, and Mclemore is still playing in the position he should be in. So this is Norm's fault. So when Allison brought it up, she was like, "What is Mclemore doing here? Did he mess up?" And this is actually Norm's responsibility. Yeah. Norm should have been between his Martin and the basket right here, and he should have been the guy who went with him as he cut. And Norm realizes it too late, and he has to hold Martin so he doesn't get a wide open lane or dunk. Um, and so we have to foul. And so Mclemore was actually in the right here because he should have. If Rozier comes off that screen, he's got to take him. Now, maybe he's a little too high, or maybe he didn't recognize what was going on behind him, so he's got to be a little at fault. But when you have your back turned and you're in the right position, that's Norm's job to communicate with Mclemore what's going on behind him. So, I think Norm just messes up here and then realizes it and then has to grab him to foul him.
Yeah.
And as we see on the next slide, Mclemore is asking him like what happened there, and then on the final slide we show at the next dead ball Mclemore discussing it with Chauncey Billups what if he did something wrong there or what he was supposed to do differently, and hopefully Billups goes back and sees that was not his mess up and that it's Norm's. But this is the problem. So like. That makes Mclemore, and this is what happens with Nurk all the time too. So like everyone's like, oh, that was Nurk's guy. Nurk sucks. His guy scored 30 points or whatever. But like, there's so many examples of this where it's really not his fault. Like it wasn't Mclemore's fault here, and someone else messed up their coverage. And it's just it sucks. But there's so many of these mental mistakes by the Blazers. And it just costs us possession after possession and prevents us from being a good defense.
And here's the thing. Here's a simple rule of thumb. Let's get back out to this position. Basically, the guy closest to the baseline is interior.
Yep.
The guy further up is perimeter, right? Yep. So think about it like this. If the mellow ball drives, right, drives left, Trendon Watford is the help guy.
Yep.
And then Robert Covington takes the first pass out, the first pass to the perimeter. So that's the easiest way to remember this, and it works that way in different situations, right? So if LaMelo Ball drives, the low guy helps, high guy is the perimeter, the first pass out, but even off the ball in this situation, Norm is the low guy, so he's interior. Mclemore is the high guy, he's perimeter. So even though Mclemore was guarding Martin, once it sets up like this, Norm takes interior there.
Yep.
And then Mclemore will stay on the guy on the perimeter. Simple.
Yeah, and he should basically be at the block right now, which is that little like tick mark right in front of Caleb or Cody Martin right there. So he should be right there. Norm should be. And Mclemore then has the assignment of Rozier. So yeah, just a bad misstep by Norm on this one.
Yeah, it just gets frustrating when it's this situation because this is the most basic situation that we see off ball mistakes in. Because you're like when two guys are on one side of the court off ball, it's the same rule of thumb. It's not hard. So this is a bad mistake.
Yeah, and so the frustrating part is earlier in the season, like let's say this is a new concept to some of these guys. It shouldn't be a new concept,
dude. We learned this in high school and college.
But like, if you make this mistake early in the season, you're watching film, you're being held accountable. This is game 30. We shouldn't be making this mistake still, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the problem is with this defense, I'm not seeing enough of, oh, you know what? Our mistakes are getting so much less, It's the same things keep happening over and over again, and it's so frustrating.
Yep. And I mean, mistakes like this aren't due to size,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, this is one of those mistakes where the people that argue with us the most, Eric, will, after a game where we give up 116, 120 points, whatever, they'll just sit there and say, it's the roster, guards, lack of size, right? It's not based on anything that happens on the court. This breakdown is 1000% based on what's happening on the court. So
Yep.
that's what we will continue to try and do. There are definitely plays where maybe our lack of size is able to be taken advantage of, but it's a more complicated issue than just it's our height and whatnot. So Norm has to be better than this. And I've been saying it, and that's why I told you guys to focus on him defensively, because he makes a lot of mistakes, and it's very disheartening. So that is play number 1. I'll load up play number 2, Eric, if you're ready to go with that.
All right, so play number 2 is one of those plays where Norm is a little late coming back on defense.
Of course.
And
Here we go.
So this is I'm really not. It's like the game where I picked on Nas. I'm really not like meaning to pick on one person, but so Norm's
I told you
back.
guys to focus on him, so you just listen to me.
All right, so
Appreciate it.
we have it set up to where, Dave's guarding a guy, Rocco's guarding a guy. Nance has the guy coming down the middle of the court, and Ant's going to pick up ball who's the near guy, Ish Smith. And we have it like if everyone just stays with who they're next to right now, it's fine. Even if it's not like a good matchup, like they're small right now. Miles Bridges and PJ Washington are their big, so like you're not going to have perfect matchups all the time. So just stick with whoever you're at right now. So as we go to the second slide,
well, let me just make this point.
Yeah.
Small teams like to run,
right?
So a lot of times when teams go small, it's easier to just guard whoever, right? Because they don't have a big that's going to like punish you. And most of the time, if other teams go small, we'll go small. So we have Nance at the 5 compared to like somebody like Nurkic. So Nance will be better on a guard anyway. So in that situation, it's funny because you can kind of just take whoever easier, and you have to a lot of times because teams will just run and you don't have time to get back to your guy. So that's something that happens a lot when teams go small. That's happening here. We're fine in this position. We're completely fine.
Just take who you're next to. We're totally cool. We're set up well. As we go to the next slide, here's what happens though. Rocco is going to follow Oubre to the corner. And Norm's just going to run down because Oubre's Norm's guy, so he has to go get him, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of blurry. Sorry, the picture quality is great. But Norm's actually has his hand up with his thumb like pointed behind him for Rocco to go up and get Washington, and he's going to get Oubre in the corner. It's like, no, Norm, no. Like, what are you doing? Like, just stay on Washington, and we're totally fine right here.
Yeah.
But once again, just a stupid mistake. And then as we go to the third slide...
Well, let me just say this, too. If Norm's going to do this, why is he running right at Oubre? Because where the ball is, whoever's guarding Oubre
he doesn't even know where
the
ball is.
Yeah, whoever's guarding Oubre should be like 1 foot in the paint. So he should be, like, if he really wants to switch that bad, he should be running down to the block.
Yeah.
Down to the opposite block. Instead, he's running right at him, which makes no sense. Because that's not where you want to be if you're guarding him anyway. So the switch in the first place here is just pointless, and it's a problem. And then where he's running to also just doesn't make sense.
So as we go to the next slide, he's going to run right at Rocco, basically. And Rocco's, I mean, he probably should have recognized a little sooner, but this isn't Rocco's fault.
Yeah.
So Rocco's like, what the heck? Why is Norm just leaving a wide open guy? And not only a wide open guy, but this is PJ Washington, who's shooting 44% from 3 on the season, right? Yep. And so Bridges is gonna set a pick on Ant, and Ant's actually going to get through this. But Ish Smith in the next slide notices that Norm left PJ Washington and Rocco didn't recover in time. So now you got Rocco and Norm just standing right next to each other. Ant plays this perfectly. He goes under the pick because Ish Smith isn't a 3-point shooter. So Ish Smith just comes around a pick clean and has the easiest pass of his career to a wide open PJ Washington, who has a wide open 3. And in the final slide shows that Rocco's late closing out and he gets a good 3-point shot. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing with Rocco too, is like he's not going to be paying attention to like Norm running down at him.
Right.
In this situation, he's trying to keep an eye on his guy so that he makes sure he doesn't get back cut. And then he's also paying attention to the pick and roll because if, they're able to thread the ball to the roll man, he has to help. So he's paying attention to his guy and he's paying attention to the pick and roll. He's not going to be paying attention to Norm randomly leaving this guy and him having to step up and pick him up. You know what I mean? So, people say, oh, Rocco should have recognized it faster, but it's like he already has to focus on two different things that are on either side of him.
And he shouldn't have to recognize this. They should have just stayed where they're at. And this is the problem. Like, it's okay to make mistakes, but then don't compound it with another mistake. So you get back, you're not on the right guy. That's fine, but don't compound that by then leaving your guy to go guard someone who's already covered. Like, that makes no sense. The timing of this is all off. Just everything about it is off, and it results in an open 3-point shot.
And Bob and Weave says, are we sure this isn't instruction from Chauncey? Stay on your man. It doesn't make sense why someone would do this. It's unnatural not to pick up the guy closer to you. I don't think this is instruction from Chauncey because we've seen Chauncey switch centers onto point guards at will at times. So I highly doubt he's telling Norm and Rocco, yeah, Norm, make sure you don't end up on PJ Washington. Rocco, you better not end up on Kelly Oubre. Like, those matchups are completely fine. PJ Washington, I mean, you don't want to be too... PJ Washington picked us apart in game 1 when we got Smalls on him, but, like...
Not on the perimeter, though.
Yeah, but, like, here's the thing, is you don't want to switch pick and rolls if you don't have to. So it's frustrating when we switch that, but in certain situations like this, Norm has to take PJ Washington.
Yeah.
This isn't a situation where he can do what he does. So I think this is just on Norm. Like, I don't think any coach would teach their players to do what Norm does here. Yeah. It absolutely doesn't make sense. And dude, like when I played in college, we did drills, fast break drills. We would have 5 defensive players start like on the free throw line, kind of like spread out, and 5 offensive players start on the baseline, right? And our coach would say like 2 different numbers, which means 2 different defenders would have to go and touch the baseline and would be behind the play. So we'd throw the ball to the offense, say 2 different guys on defense that had to go touch the baseline, and then it'd basically be you're defending in a 5-on-3. And that taught us, like, okay, we have to pick up for those guys, take guys who aren't our man. Like, that's a basic drill, right? So, that's something that goes down lower levels, is you can't just leave guys wide open on the perimeter to get back to your man. You have to pick up ball. That's the number one thing. It's basic basketball principles. So I highly doubt that Chauncey would be teaching his guys to go against basic basketball principles.
Yeah, and also, I mean, there's no way a coach is saying in the middle of a play, just leave whatever guy you're supposed to be guarding and go switch with someone else. Like, that doesn't make sense either. But as Near 012 points out, I didn't even see this. So go to the last slide where Washington is shooting.
Okay, let me get there. What's up? What about it?
Okay, I don't see it here, but he said one of the slides Chauncey has his hands up, like he's mad. I don't see it, but
maybe it's this one. He's not gonna be happy with this. So
So, but it's one of those things like you've never. I don't know. That's not something you can coach, really. I mean, we talk about it a lot. How you can. The way to coach that is to, if a player keeps making mistakes like this, and honestly, this isn't the first time we've had a Brandt's breakdown with Norm doing stuff like this. There was that one play with Zeller and him where he, for some reason, comes back down the court late and takes Zeller's guy, even though Zeller's already guarding him. I think this is a case where you got to, like, sit Norm down and say, hey, man, you can't make these mental mistakes consistently. And unless you do that, that's the only way to really coach it, in my opinion, because it's just not smart basketball.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, this is the type of stuff I've been talking about from Norm in previous post-game streams where people are like, oh, you're just a Norm hater. No, I'm watching for this type of stuff. And I'm glad that you caught some of it. All right, play number 3. What do we got here?
So this is a possession or two later. We have the ball, once again, set up well. Everyone's currently in the correct spots. We're going to have Martin as we go to the next slide.
Yeah. PJ Washington has the ball up top. Rocco defending him. 5-out action here because they're small.
Once again, we're still in good positioning. Now, Ish Smith is going to go set a down screen for the corner. Mclemore and Ant correctly switch that, and Ant takes the guy on the perimeter, unlike what we saw in the first one. Yeah. So they kind of play this right. And so now Ant is on Bridges, I think it is. So here we are, a few seconds into the play. Everyone's still good position, right? So as we go to the next slide, watch Rocco on his guy. Once again, PJ Washington, 44% three-point shooter, 1 pass away. And so Rocco's just going to stay there. Ant's still fine. He doesn't need help right here.
And
once
if he does get beat, who's the help? Chat, wait, I don't want you to answer this, Eric.
Okay.
Chat, all right? This is your pop quiz. If it gets beat here, who's the guy who should provide help? Okay? I think it's pretty easy, but who's the guy who should provide help? Hint, it's not Rocco, obviously. All right, I see. I'm proud of chat, man. I just wanted to toss chat a bone. There you guys go. Yeah, it's Larry Nance Jr. Absolutely. But go ahead, Eric.
Yep. So as we go to the next slide, Rocco is still in the wrong position, and like you can see here, Ant's in front of his guy. He does not need help. And if Bridges pulls up, it's like that play you were talking about with Dame on the baseline. If he pulls up with Ant on him and hits a jumper, it's good defense. Like, he might make it, but it's fine. You live with him either making that shot or not. And if he drives to the hoop, like you said, that's someone else's responsibility. And you're 1 pass away on a 44% three-point shooter. And you're now, 6 feet away from him, and with this close of a easy pass to him where he can just catch and shoot immediately. And in the last slide, so you see it, Washington catches the ball and
wide open
drills a 3. And this is a consistent problem with Rocco over helping and being in the wrong spot and giving up a 3. And honestly, if it was a little better ball handler, Rocco probably gets burnt off the dribble here if they don't pull it from 3 anyway. So because he was out of position and having to close out fast. So I guess the only positive about this is at least PJ Washington didn't pump fake and have Rocco jump past him like he normally does. But there was a couple plays later where Washington took a 3 with a guy in his face and it rimmed in and out, almost went in. And part of that is because he was so confident shooting it. If that goes in, I believe they would have cut it to 8 or something at that time.
Yeah.
We're letting teams get confident and that by making silly mistakes. And unfortunately, our 2 biggest culprits the last few weeks have been Rocco and Norman Powell.
Yep. That's what's frustrating is it's just stupid basic mistakes, right? So the reason why it's Nance here, you want to help from the side where there's more players. Because if Mclemore helps here, Bridges just kicks it out to Mclemore's guy in the corner, wide open jump shot. If Nance helps here, then Nas is still over there to get first pass out. And then that gives Larry Nance Jr. time to get the second guy, right? Well, so if Bridges drives and passes to Caleb Martin, who's number 11, up by Chauncey, Nas would go up, take him. And then if he kicks to Oubre in the corner, Nance would have time to get back out there. So it's basic stuff. 1 pass away, you stay attached to your guy. Maybe you stunt a little bit, but 1 pass away, you stay pretty attached to your guy. You help from the side where there's more offensive players, right? Where there's 2 offensive players. The low guy is the help guy. The low guy is interior. The high guy is perimeter. It's pretty basic stuff for NBA players, and we make so many mistakes out of that that it drives me crazy.
And so Kyle brings up a good point in chat. This Nas isn't in very good position in this particular one. He's probably too far out. He should be in between Martin and Oubre there, so he can take that pass easier if it does get swung to Martin there. Yeah. And then Nance could easily get the corner on a swing pass.
Was Nance the high guy? Was Nance the high guy?
Nance was guarding Martin.
So it should be Nas actually, but I mean, for the most part, it should be Nas. But Nas has to see this. Nas has to see this and then just recognize, okay, I'm perimeter guy now.
So, unlike the play with LaMelo, where he's on the same side of the court looking right at them as they screen away.
Yeah.
This action, you can see Washington dribbling to the far side of the court. So I think Nance does the right thing where he becomes the low man because he's the bigger guy. And then Nas should slide up just a little bit so he can be in between those and take either one if there's a pass out. So yeah, that is a slight correction I would make with Nas. And there was a play in the fourth quarter where if it gets noticed, it might be on Shackton, where Nas was kind of in a similar position guarding Martin, and Martin cuts baseline, gets a pass, finishes a lay-in, and Nas was still standing there like his guy, like Martin was still in the corner. He had no clue, and he had gone for like 3 seconds. He was not even in there. So yeah, Nas has to do a better job of not playing so tight in these situations, and also recognizing when his guy moves.
Yep, absolutely. And here's the thing: if you're high guy here and you decide to take help side responsibility, which is what Nance does, you just got to say low. You got to communicate. Nas has to hear him say low, or I'm low, I'm help, or whatever. So Nas realizes, okay, now I'm first pass out, so I have to split these guys, since I have to be ready to get out on the first pass if it goes to either of these guys. So that's the thing where communication comes in. Yeah, I mean, this is the stuff that goes into playing good team defense, guys. And it's fun to watch games and see this type of stuff play out for better or worse, and just kind of know what's happening out there on the floor. So that's what we hope you guys gain from this. And maybe you can impress your friends that don't listen to us with your basketball knowledge. You know, that'd be pretty cool. Anyway, anything else on this?
Well, honestly, so these details are what the problem is, because let me just bring it up real quick. So we obviously suck at defense, right? I think we're 29th going in. We're 29th going into tonight, I believe, in the NBA in defensive rating. But so we're giving up 113 points per 100 possessions, right?
Yeah.
If we just give up 1 3 less per 100 possessions, we're 19th, right? It's not like there's this huge gap where the teams who are sucky at defense are, giving up 20 points more a game than the teams in the middle of the pack or whatever. So like these kind of details are the difference between a good defensive team. Like when you see the Miami Heat, for example, they don't make these mistakes that often, and they don't give up these open threes as often as a team like we do. And because of that, they can have a team like hit a ton of threes or whatever, but they make that 1 extra stop or 2 extra stops a game. And that's the difference between having a good defense and a bad defense over the course of several seasons if you're consistently getting an extra stop or 2 throughout the game.
And that's why I don't just buy that it's roster that we suck defensively in terms of like physical capabilities, height, all that type of stuff. Like I've been questioning the roster mentally because they just have made so many mental mistakes that are inexcusable. And like, dude, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see the mistakes they're making. You know what I mean? Two YouTubers can sit here and break it down, in my opinion, to a T, the mistakes they're making, and it's fundamental things out of basic situations, So that's the thing, is like, if they just, if Rocco just stays on his guy here, this might be a stop. bring up another play, and if we don't just randomly screw up, if Norm just doesn't randomly leave PJ Washington, that might be a stop. Guess what? An additional 2 stops a game makes us an average defense. So that's why I don't buy, we're just destined to be horrible defensively because of the roster. That's why I've never bought that, and I will never buy it. The only thing I'll say is, like, maybe you just have too many players on this roster that, A, don't care enough defensively to fix these mistakes or to make it enough of an emphasis for themselves to fix these mistakes. B, maybe Chauncey's not holding them accountable enough in terms of PT, in terms of the film room, I don't know. And then C, maybe you just have guys that are just extremely unaware, like mentally, and just can't, it's like a mental block for them. And maybe they just can't mentally grasp basic basketball concepts. But, I mean, Rocco has been a good off-ball defender his entire career, so it doesn't make sense. And that's why I've been at a loss of words after numerous post-game shows, because nothing explains this, and I don't know why it's not getting better.
Yeah. And, that's the case where when you go back to what you said we needed a few weeks ago, and that was just someone who will get in people's face and let them know when they're messing up like this and that it's not acceptable. And also those type of people hardly ever make the mistakes. Yeah, I watched this video with Draymond and Doris Burke last night, and man, just the difference between him mentally and like the players on our team is like insane, because he was like, in this situation, I know Durant coming off the screen to his right, he's like a 65% shooter in those situations. I have to help there. And my guy who I'm guarding shoots this percentage in those situations, so I can afford to leave him and take my chance that he's going to miss that because he's a 40% shooter in those situations, and Durant's a 65% shooter. So I have to play the percentages and make sure I stop the hardest part of that possession or whatever. And this guy knows that, like, in the game. This isn't something he's like just thinking about afterwards. Like, that's seriously his thought process, is like, he's so smart, he knows exactly where to be and what to do, and he's telling the other 4 guys. But that's our problem. We don't have anyone like that has that communication or whatever.
he would hate playing with us, because everybody else is just like, can't even grasp basic principles. Think about him thinking like that and like playing defense like that for a possession, but then we give up a wide open 3 because somebody one pass away just like sags off him 15 feet. Yep. That would be triggering. Imagine, and Draymond's not afraid to say something and show his emotion. That would be some primetime entertainment, watching Draymond react to that type of situation if he was on our team, man.
And that's why I'm so disappointed in Norm, because like, even if you're not like super like defensive IQ guy like Draymond, you can get away with just being tough and being like a nuisance on defense, like a Patrick Beverley type, right? And Norm is strong and he's tough and he's physical on offense. So you would think that on defense he could be that guy, and that's so disappointing, because Chauncey even mentioned it. You know, our guards, if we're going to play small, we're going to play the 3 guards. They have to be physical and scrap. Yeah. And I just don't see that. And that's something Norm should be really good at. Even if he makes mistakes, at least he's getting up and pressuring the ball and being tough. And it's frustrating because we don't have any of those guys that'll do that. So we have good defenders, I guess, or decent defenders, or players that should be okay on defense, but they're all kind of passive defenders, even if they're good defenders, and they're not aggressive defenders. And we need an aggressive, tough, in-your-face type of defender, I think.
Yep. Near 012 says, Norm would be like, yo, Dre, where's my man? That's
no, you go get my guy in the corner. I got this.
Dre would be like, what? No. That's funny. I mean, we'll be more positive in the player cards when we start talking about individual players again. But, constructive criticism, and, it's fun to actually, like, point out some flaws in a win, because there's numerous times... I mean, at this point in losses, with all the losses we had, I didn't even want to talk about this stuff. It was just like, we're just screwed. Let's talk trades. So after a win, I'm having an easier time discussing this type of stuff, because it didn't lead to a loss.
Adam Smits. I wrote down your question. I will answer that when we get to Roko's player card.
Yep. We have a $5 dono. Wait, let me see here. No, we got Zach with a member message. 19-month member. Longest tenured member is our mod, Zach, the legend himself. He says, Dame. Appreciate it, Zach. And then Antonio, $5 dono, says, can we talk about Nasir's passing? He had 2 insane passes in traffic to the 3 after driving to the rim these last 2 games. We will absolutely talk about his passing when we get to his player card. Appreciate it, Antonio. All right, player cards. This player card looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What is the 85.5? Here we go with Chris's mysteries once again. 85.5. Anybody know what the 85.5 means? It's a puzzle.
I don't know if that is true shooting percentage tonight. I don't know.
It might be. I feel like it might be even higher than that though. 43 points on 19 shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a good guess. Is true shooting percentage. I don't know why he'd put his free throw percentage in here. I think he's shooting better than that on free throws. I don't know. But yeah, leave it. Vert. Harris says Vert.
That'd be insane.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, nice to see Dame have an efficient 43-point game, man. That's the thing is like, Dame throughout the course of a normal season will have multiple games like this. And it's like we didn't have these graphics before, so this is like the first time we've actually been able to use this graphic for a true, legitimate Dame game. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Trevin says it is his true shooting percentage.
For tonight, yeah. True shooting percentage tonight. Good poll, Chris. Good poll. I'm sure Reese gave him that one.
Yeah, that was a good guess by me, too.
Yeah, good job, Eric. True shooting percentage, I mean, 85.5 is insane. He's been struggling efficiency-wise, so bump those numbers up a bit tonight. Good to see. 3 turnovers, 8 assists. I like the way he made plays, played solid defense. We already talked about him for a bit, so is there anything else on Dame that you wanted to mention?
I thought he did a good job. I think it was the third quarter, and then at the end as well, where we didn't really have much going, but he was getting some action and getting to the line with drawing fouls, and I thought that was good to see. One of his turnovers was he gets like bumped, and he tries to throw a pass to the rim because he had a guy wide open, and they don't even call the foul in the first half. So I don't know if you can really even count that, but I know it does technically count. But yeah, this great game from Dame.
Yep, good to see. Let's move on. I mean, you guys already know who the second best player is going to be. Ben Forner Mclemore, he hit 4 straight threes there in the second quarter. I mean, we talked about it, man. The dude can make threes. And let me pull this up for context. Let me pull up his seasonal 3-point shooting stats, because I dropped his player preview, and it was a bit of a question mark before the season, because last year he only shot 34.6% from 3, but the 2 seasons before that he shot 40% from 3 and 41.5% from 3. So it was like, okay, is he, I don't know, like for his career he's been around 36%, so I didn't know if those 2 years of shooting 40% were outliers, or if the 35% last year was an outlier and he actually turned himself into a 40%er as a shooter. You know what I mean? So I was curious to see how good he'd shoot the ball this year, just kind of given the progression of his 3-point shooting throughout his career. And he's shooting, I mean, after tonight, what was he for tonight? It's on the stat sheet. 8 for 13. Yeah, it's on the graphic. So after tonight, Ben Mclemore is shooting 29 for 64 from 3. I'm sure you can do that division in your head, right, Eric?
What's that, like 44%? 29 of what?
29 for 64.
45.3%.
Yeah, you just used a calculator.
Well, I didn't initially. I guess 44%, and then I did a calculator to see what it was.
Carry the one, 45.3%. 45%er after tonight. So he's been a sniper, and he's stepped up with CJ out. We've needed somebody who can make shots. nice to see. I mean, we already talked about him a lot as well. What are your thoughts that you maybe haven't already said?
I thought, I mean, obviously the threes are great, right? But the best play of the game was Ben Mclemore. They know he's going to come off a screen. They overplay him. He's trying to get an open three. It wasn't there. He immediately cuts down the middle of the paint. Nurk with a beautiful bounce pass for a lay-in. I love those kind of plays. Those are my favorite plays, and I don't understand why we don't cut more often in those situations, because with guys like Dame, CJ, Norm, Mclemore now if he's hitting, those kind of plays are there almost the entire game when the team's being aggressive. And I felt like in the second half, we didn't do much of that at all. When if they're double teaming or overplaying players, those back cuts are there. They're there. And I don't understand why we're not doing it more often. But it was good to see, at least in the first half, we had several of them, and it was really nice. And then the other play that sticks out is Mclemore catches the ball at the top of the key, pump fakes this guy. He has Dame to his left, wide open, no one within like 10 feet of him. And Mclemore shoots it, makes it, which isn't bad or anything. But here's the point. If we can get a guy like Mclemore, and it was this way with JJ Redick, right? And Chris Paul wasn't always the best three-point shooter. He was more like mid-range, right? So, but Dame is known as a three-point shooter as well. But if you get a guy in that JJ Redick role where he's always moving around, always coming off screens, the defense starts to pay attention to him, and they start to look. And then when you have guys like CJ and Dame and stuff that get open because of that, or they have to pay attention to that guy and make sure he doesn't hit 4 3-pointers in a row like he did at one point in this game, that can lead to you, if you are smart offensively, using that to get one of your better shooters open and get Dame cleaner looks. And this is what we've been talking about for years. It's not necessarily, oh, Dame can't be the point guard or he can't run the offense or anything like that. But if you have a guy that's playing well, and this happened in the Jake Layman game where he scored 20 points in a quarter or whatever it was, we were playing the Pelicans, and Drew Holiday has always given Dame fits. And they actually had to switch Drew Holiday from Damian Lillard onto Jake Layman in that game, right?
Yeah.
And so if you get to a point where you have Ben Mclemore coming in the game and affecting games just by moving without the ball and the other team having to account for him because of his shooting, that leads to Dame having less attention, and that could be nothing but positive.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just nice to have somebody off the bench that makes shots. And defensively, I mean, he started like preseason. In preseason, he was absolutely horrific defensively, like something else. But it's nice to see him not be, the biggest problem when he's out there on the court, given what he looked like in the preseason. He had some good moments in this game. I love that play where he hustled back and broke up a transition pass and got a steal off of it. That was very nice. I don't know why Watford's up. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, he had 2 steals tonight, so good for him. Let's move on to Norman Powell. We talked a lot about him.
Real quick, Jared with a member for 5 months pertaining to Ben Mclemore. Ben Mclemore is a Ray Allen stan confirmed.
I mean, his jump shot looks, I wouldn't say it looks like Ray's if Ray shot a little bit more in front of his head. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, just kind of like the base and everything. The way he shoots kind of reminds me a little bit of Ray Allen. So, shout out to Jared. Good to see you, Jared. We talked a lot about Norm. We showed some of his defensive mistakes. He's just he struggled with CJ out, and I mean he continues to show why you can't just say give him 20 shots of CJ's and he's going to be better because he's more efficient when he's the third guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I say this a lot with CJ out, but it's funny because I felt like when I made that argument, a lot of people disagreed with it or thought it was a silly argument. Like, I had legitimately, we had multiple people in chat say, CJ's struggling, but he's shooting 22 times a game and normally shoots 12 shots. We just need to... Norm should be shooting 22 times instead of CJ, and it's not that simple. You look at Norm with more responsibility, and he's struggling, and he hasn't been efficient, and he has 5 assists tonight. I don't remember any of those passes specifically, but obviously that's a good number. But down the stretch, when they were double-teaming Dame and we needed somebody to create out of that, Norm was horrible. In a role that CJ actually like does a decent job in usually. So that's why I just like people acted like you could just slot Norm into CJ's offensive role and it'd be better because he's more efficient, but basketball isn't that simple. You can't extrapolate what somebody does as a number 3 guy and just expect that to be the same level of efficiency, same level of production if he has more responsibility as the number 2 guy. And I think we've continued to see that.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say to that is, I don't know if you caught the post-game comments from Norm earlier, or not tonight, but the last game, I think it was. I think he's just in a funk and he's frustrated, and so it's kind of tough for me because what role he's in doesn't really apply to you airballing a wide open 3-point shot. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, I'm not using I know, that
but it's like, it's tough because it's only been a few games. Is it because of a small sample size? Is it because he's not capable of having a bigger role? When it's hard for me to tell one way or another, but I am leaning towards yours so far based on what we've seen. It's just tough because if he's shooting better, just a little better or closer to his normal shooting things, I don't think he's getting like worse shots or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was making that point before I even saw it at all this year, just based on his offensive talent versus CJ's. And basically, it was more so when I made the point initially, it was more so people underappreciate CJ McCollum and what he does offensively. People will sit here and say, oh, if CJ's not shooting well, he doesn't help us at all. Which is absolutely not the case. Absolutely not the case. So that was kind of what I made the point for. And I hadn't seen Norm with more responsibility so far this season. So basically everything I've seen has just kind of reinforced the opinion I had in the first place. But I mean, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at some of the passes he had. Some of his assist numbers. Shoot, I might do it right now. Too bad I can't show footage. It's funny because we had people during your breakdown, Eric, saying, no, it'd be nice if there was footage. We would show footage if we could. Trust us. Yeah. We would love to.
And those accounts that do have to pay to get the right to do so, or don't make money off their
get demonetized. But those are videos too, and the video cap is usually like 9 minutes 45 seconds. You don't see any streams, right? Like the NBA will let certain stuff go up with highlights, right? And then there's like restrictions and copyright claims, and it's just kind of a mess. So that's why we elect not to do it in the first place, even for videos. But definitely not streams. I think we would probably get a copyright strike if we went through like plays, video footage. You know what I mean? Like if we showed highlights in your breakdown, Eric, I'm pretty sure we get copyright striked. So I'm not going to risk that and risk not being able to stream for like a week, and then the second strike is like not being able to stream for like months. It's not feasible. So trust me, we would do highlights if we could, but we can't. I mean, I would love to just, we got Norm's player cards. We could show Norm highlights next to the player card. That would be phenomenal, right? Yeah. But we, can't do that. Otherwise, we would.
Yeah. Yep.
But I don't know. I'm very curious. The good pass from his team. There's the audio. I'm very curious where his assist came from. Okay, he had the good backdoor pass. You remember Nas's like tough hang, rearrange, and finish in the first quarter? Yeah. That was Norm hit him on the backdoor pass. So I like to see that. type of playmaking, because I always feel like he only makes plays for others if he gets all the way to the rim and then kicks out or has a dump-off pass. So that first play was nice to see. And then... By the way, if you guys want to see certain highlights from like a certain player, like Norm's passing, just go to NBA.com box scores. That's the way to do it. Second pass, he just kicked to Rocco and he drove, so that's not impressive. That was more just Rocco having... I mean, Rocco's a slasher now. A kick-out pass to Mclemore was his third assist. His fourth assist was another kick-out pass to Mclemore. His fifth assist was... another kick-out pass to Mclemore. So Mclemore just, made guys look nice. That was Mclemore's step-back three, so it wasn't even Norm creating it. So, that's the thing is, during the flow of the game, you might just get assists just because you just pass the ball to a guy and then he makes something happen off the dribble. That was, for the most part, Norm today. Yeah. Anyway. Any other thoughts?
No, just hopefully he plays better. Well, the other thing is, too, the 40-minute stuff, I just wish we could do a little bit better job of maintaining. I know we have a lot of injuries right now, so that sucks too. But yeah, I don't like the minutes players are racking up right now.
Mike Aldridge is telling you, Eric. He says, "For the love of God, Eric, please shut Tori's awful takes down." All right. What are your thoughts on that? You're going to start shutting me down, Eric?
Kimbe Mutombo, all your takes, man.
Oh,
no.
Dang.
No.
Shoot, dude. All right, Norm is the best.
It's done for you.
Norm is the best player in the league. Right, Chris? Yes.
Is that a Chris Burner?
Yeah, there's something, man. I wouldn't be surprised. Chris hit a comment that said, bench Norm, start Ben earlier. Yeah. Chris, don't hide comments just because they're critical of Ben. Don't hide opinions here, all right? And don't go on Mike Aldridge birders, Chris. Come on, Chris. Yeah, see, look at that spam chat. See, Chris, we caught you.
I say plenty of stupid things, too.
I mean, so you're saying I am saying stupid things?
No, I'm just saying I shouldn't hold you accountable because we're not. Yeah.
Our takes are honestly, our takes and our breakdowns are phenomenal. So, because Norm doesn't make $32 million a year, I shouldn't hold him accountable for anything, and I shouldn't criticize him. Okay, Mike Aldridge, aka Krish. I'm not gonna let that go. Anyway, let's move on from Norm. Hopefully, I'll do better on this one. Larry Saucy, Nance Jr. 10.7 boards and assists. I thought he had more assists than that, but played 36 minutes tonight, Eric. Mm-hmm. Part of that was Nurkic getting in foul trouble. He had 4 fouls, but, 4 fouls in 36 minutes is okay for Nance, I think. What are your thoughts on Mr. Saucy?
Yeah, I thought Nance had a solid game. Doesn't really reflect on that with the plus-minus, I guess, but I like when he doesn't shoot a lot of threes. I like when he doesn't have a lot of turnovers. Would like to see his playmaking used a little more, especially in the second half when we were getting Dame trapped. I think that's the solution, is to just put him at the top of the key and let him be aggressive that way, have cutters and shooters around him. But yeah, just solid again from Nance.
Yeah. Yep, agreed. I'm not going to say anything potentially controversial. Yusuf Greenlight Nurkic. Well, I had somebody on Twitter saying that somebody that was mad that I didn't tweet out criticism of Nurkic, so I'm sure if I criticize him, then somebody else will be mad that I'm criticizing. So I just can't win, so I'm just going to say what I think. Yusuf Greenlight Nurkic, fouled out in 15 minutes today. He hasn't really been in foul trouble this year, so I'm not going to say, Nurkic always fouls out, he can't not foul. I'm not going to say that when he hasn't had foul trouble, hardly at all. He's had moments, but overall he's been okay for a starting center in terms of foul trouble.
Yeah,
obviously not tonight, but...
He's got to stop. It's you come in the game, second quarter, with 2 fouls, right? don't get a stupid third foul. He gets a stupid third foul. You come into the second half. You have 3 fouls. Don't pick up that fourth early in the third quarter where you have to come out right away, right? And it's just he just can't help himself, and so hopefully he'll learn that eventually. He's like you said, until really the series against Jokic last year, this wasn't really ever a problem where he fell out. So I guess maybe this is something he hasn't really had to deal with much, but he does need to do a better job of knowing when to be aggressive and when your team probably needs you more on the floor than to commit a stupid foul.
Yep. We have a take in chat that Antonio says statistically Nurkic is the worst rim protector in the league, unfortunately. What statistics are you looking at, Antonio? I'm curious to know. Because that's not the case, I don't think, unless...
Well, he's been bad at blocking shots this year. I don't know.
That's not rim protection.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, we forget. Oh, dude, we forget. Apparently, we forget when we had Nurkic and Hassan Whiteside in the bubble, and the defense would be better with Nurkic in the game, but like Whiteside would finish with twice as many blocks. You don't want a center who just always chases blocks, right? Because there's a lot of times somebody will drive and not even get by their guy and like have to contort and shoot some like wild flip shot that probably isn't going to go in, and you just have to be there for the rebound. Hassan Whiteside would chase the block and either block it out of bounds, giving them a new possession, or he'd miss the block, the guy would miss the shot, and Hassan Whiteside's guy would just get the easy putback because Hassan Whiteside's completely out of the play chasing blocks. So it would result in more blocks for Hassan Whiteside, but it didn't result in us being a better defense. It wasn't better rim protection. You cannot base rim protection just off of blocks. Okay, that's the point.
Yeah, and the rim protection thing, Nurk he's having his worst season as a rim protector, but
he's hardly around the rim. He's playing up at the point of attack.
But they're also, I mean, you got to kind of weigh 30 games versus his whole career as well. Yeah. He's been one of the best rim protectors in the league. So just one little stretch or whatever isn't necessarily meaning that he is a horrible rim protector. I mean, he does to do a better job, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this season maybe not as good as previous seasons.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, when he played tonight, I mean, his 15 minutes, he was productive. Mm-hmm. +8, 10 points in 15 minutes. That's good. 4 boards, 2 assists, a couple of dimes, 5 for 8 from the field, 5 for 7 inside the arc. So it's like, I had somebody on Twitter basically like mad that I wasn't criticizing Nurkic, and he said Nurkic is totally mentally checked out. The only reason anybody would say that for this game is because he fouled out. Otherwise, he was extremely productive. So there was
post-ups were like Plumlee could not stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going strong. Mm-hmm. He was putting good moves on. He wasn't flipping it up. Like he actually had perfect positioning. The one time he didn't, he quick shot it, and it was the perfect decision. He made it. Like I don't understand that at all. Like
I'm just like he doesn't foul out of every game, right? And I felt like 2 of the calls that he got called against him were just like either extremely unlucky or bad calls. The final one he fouled out on, he's just playing good defense, and Miles Bridges just trips over him. Mm-hmm. Like, what is he supposed to do? You know?
Well, he didn't trip him, but he had his hand on him, so
I mean, but that's just like that's not what made him fall. If Miles Bridges doesn't trip over Nurkic's foot, they don't call a foul. You know what I mean? So I don't really understand people that, I don't know, like he fouls. But it's not as bad as people act like it is.
Yes, he did still have bad fouls. Completely agree. But having bad fouls does not mean you're checked out mentally and weren't in the game. I don't see the correlation. It's him being aggressive at points where he shouldn't be aggressive and not recognizing the situation. That is completely different than someone just checking out and not playing. That guy was completely into the game. I thought at the beginning of this game, it was a shame he got those 2 fouls because, I mean, it was looking like this was going to be the Nurk show, and he was just going to completely dominate Charlotte because they had no answer for him at the beginning of this game. And so, yeah, it's just kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is people will only focus on the fact that he had 6 fouls in 15 minutes and ignore, oh, he was great in those 15 minutes, but just use the 6 fouls in those 15 minutes to say he's just so mentally checked out, he's quit, he needs to go, all type of stuff. So, that's just typical Nurkic stuff, I guess. Overall, very solid game. Just wish he could have played more. The fouls sucked. Had a couple of dumb ones. Had a couple of unlucky ones. It is what it is. He still played well when he was on the court. Let's move on to Anthony James Harden. Chris, you're really struggling for nicknames, aren't you? You're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. This man had 0 free throws in 18 minutes. But I guess he had some James Harden-esque isolations. I don't know. 8 points, 2 assists. What'd you think of Ant?
Yeah, so, I mean, I thought he was good. He hit his first couple threes, I think. The 3 turnovers you don't like. But can we please not run the ISO Ant second unit offense? Like, it's driving me crazy. And it's not Ant's fault. I mean, but he's getting the ball. He's rarely getting a pick. He's just they got 2 guys on both sides of the perimeter. There's no movement, no action. It's just like, okay, Ant, do something. And that's what our problem was all the last couple seasons with the last 2 years under Stotts is the second unit would come in and it was all just like that. We were trying to turn Simons into something he's not. And I just think that's a disservice to him to play like that. So I'm not really necessarily blaming him for that, but he's got to be better in those situations if he's put in them. And Chauncey's got to do a better job of not allowing the second unit to play that way.
Yep. Agree with that. Shout out to Mike Aldridge with a $5 dono. He says, thank you, Eric. No soup for Tory. This man is really trying to get himself banned. I won't ban you because it was a dono, but, keep being a weirdo. And, yeah, we're going to have to put the clamps on that. But, you say whatever you want for a $5 dono. I do not care. Anyway.
I put the clamps on you either, but...
What'd you say?
I don't know how I shut you down. I don't know.
Whatever, man. Whatever. God, isn't it like you're doing well if you got haters, man? That's a hater. There goes Mike Aldridge, number 1 hater. Anyway, Robert Finisher Covington. 1 for 6 from 3, but was 2 for 4 inside the arc. Had 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Rebounded really well, 10 boards in this one. 7 points. I don't know, dude. Eric, I don't know, man. He has moments where it's like, that's old Rocco, and then he has moments where it's like, what are you doing? And we broke down one of those moments in your breakdown. I thought he had some really solid defensive possessions as well tonight. I want him to start making threes again, of course, but in terms of creation, to get 3 assists for Rocco with only 1 turnover and 2 for 4 inside the arc, like, that's good by his low standards in those areas. So, I mean, a solid game for him, I think, tonight.
Yeah, pretty solid. He's still jumping too much on pump fakes and all that kind of stuff. Still making a lot of mistakes. So the question earlier was, how do you think he's handling it since he got moved to the bench?
He's handling it better than I thought he would.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's come in. He has not shot the ball well, but that he was not shooting well as a starter either. So I can't really say that was a bench versus starting thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think he's been fine off the bench. I don't think that's necessarily been a problem.
Yep, agreed with that. Shout out Rip City Brady, $5 dono, says, Beavers suck, LOL, love you guys, go Blazers.
Okay. I don't understand the random Beaver hate. Like, We're not even talking about the Beavers, but thanks. Go on.
He's trying to offset Mike Aldridge, I guess, which I think I know who Mike Aldridge is, by the way, Eric. I think I have a pretty good idea as to who that actually is. That's just that's so random. But shout out to Brady for the $5 dono. I guess. Don't know why he took a shot at your Beavers, man. That's just tough. Anyway. What are these numbers?
They're playing tomorrow in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, so
there's a bowl game named after Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, they were on his show last night too. They're in the audience, and some of them got to go up and talk and stuff. Yeah,
that's interesting. I mean, there's a bowl game for everything, man. When are we gonna have a Blazers Uprise bowl?
Oh, we saw my tenant in the background. Thanks for the $2 donation, Brady.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying it with a $2 dono, Brady. Appreciate you. Anyway, anything else on Roko?
Nah.
Roko the finisher. Alrighty. Nasir Draymond Little. 6 assists tonight, Eric. 3 blocks. This is a good nickname, Krish, because he was making plays for others and blocked a couple of mid-range jump shots, which is hard to do against NBA caliber guys. Only scored 3 points. Only shot 4 times in 30 minutes. I mean, he's good tonight. His assists, I mean, you'd like to see 6 assists. Drove and kicked. Had a kind of a weird kick-out pass to Dame for a 3, a bounce pass where he drew 3 defenders and kind of got stuck and still got it out to Dame. Antonio wanted us to talk about his passing as of late. What are your thoughts on his passing, Eric?
I think he has had a couple of nice driving dishes. I like that he is aggressive at times, but kicks out if it's not there. He had that charge tonight, which you want to try to avoid. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think a lot of assists are just making the right pass. We had a couple of possessions today where the ball got into the paint, kicked out to the corner, and we just made the extra pass for a more open 3. And that'll help you pile up the assist numbers if they make those. And so I think that's where a couple of his were tonight. So I like to see him just making the extra pass. But the only thing I'll say about Nas is I keep saying this, but he's got to either start hitting more consistently on the open 3s because he's getting some wide open ones. Mm-hmm. And if he's not, just start cutting more or driving more instead of doing that. So, or using that passing ability to create for others, maybe make something happen. Yeah.
And the one thing is with his shot, man, is he has his hand on the inside of the ball, mm-hmm. a little bit too. You'll see him have some side spin on his shot when he shoots, and he's kind of shooting his hand on the inside of the ball. It's kind of coming off the outside of his middle finger. It kind of looks a little weird coming out of his hands. In terms of the rhythm and the flow of his jump shots, it's good. I just feel like he misses shots because he doesn't have the cleanest release. Mm-hmm. Off the hand. So that's something that he can hopefully work on.
That's something that he struggled with in college and through part of his first year, and then it started to look a lot better, and then it sometimes reverts back and sometimes looks really good. So yeah, it's really hard. That's one of the things when you change your shot. When you're shooting at normal, it looks really good, but sometimes you can't help start to revert back to some of that old stuff. So I think it's just a matter of getting that timing down to where he's not doing that when he gets tired or whatever and playing more minutes than he's ever played in the NBA. Mm-hmm. That's probably leading to some of those old habits kind of coming back on his shot when he's tired. But other than that, I think it still looks a lot better than it did early in his career.
Yep, I agree. Shout out to Leslie V. $2 donor says, salute from Brooklyn. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to Leslie V. in Brooklyn. Appreciate the dono. Shout out to...
Real quick, Leslie V. also said, I know $1.99 isn't a lot, but I respect y'all motivation to me so I can be a podcaster, journalist, and broadcaster.
Oh, that's awesome.
Appreciate the words. And yeah, I mean,
That's
Tori
that's
and I don't
cool.
have any experience either. We, Tori, started doing the YouTube thing with someone else, and yeah, brought me along for the ride on Blazers Uprise, and yeah, anyone can do it as long as they put in the work and stuff.
Yeah, and be passionate. Like, talk about something you're passionate about. It's a lot easier that way. It's fun to just be able to talk about things that you're passionate about. So yeah, I mean, that's cool that we inspired you. That's, kind of a, I don't know. I don't really know too many people that do podcasts or kind of do this type of thing. Obviously, we met the Valley podcast guys that cover the Suns, so I've met a few people along the way. But to be able to inspire somebody to do that is actually really cool to hear. So appreciate you and glad that we could be of some inspiration. Shout out to Zach, $2 dono, says, Ducks suck! I also love you guys. Go Blazers. Appreciate Zach for the $2 dono. Shout out to Rip City Brady with the $10 dono. Says, the Ducks don't suck. Zach, you suck. Go Blazers.
Yeah, more arguments through Super Chat. Go ahead.
Anybody else want to trash the Ducks or the Beavers, or what about the Huskies, right? Like, we can get some people trashing the Huskies, right? If you want to. Anyway, I appreciate the
Fuck the
donos.
Huskies.
Excuse me? Zach, $2 dono. Appreciate it. Zach says, I don't think you suck, Brady, but the Ducks do. Appreciate Zach for the $2 dono. The Ducks basketball team has sucked this year. I will say that. So, I mean, there might be some truth there, but I mean,
the Beavers basketball team is crap too.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up, man, but in fairness, so have the Beavers, and Gonzaga's already lost twice, so we all suck, man. And the Blazers are 12-18. Everything sucks. All of us suck. All of our teams suck. We all suck. Anyway, let's move on to Trendon Watford, Eric. Been waiting for this one. 5 minutes tonight, +8. Obviously the MVP of the game tonight. What do you think, Eric, of Mr. Watford?
I like Watford. I find myself wanting him to stay out there a little more. He's a little nervous to shoot, a little passive. He had an opportunity to score off a nice drive earlier, or right towards the beginning of his first shift, and he passed out into a turnover. I'd like to see him shoot that, get to the rim. He is very good at putting the ball on the floor and getting to the rim for his size. So I'd like to see him actually feel confident enough to try it in meaningful action and not just garbage time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's come in and just been solid these last few games, and he's not messing up. He's not doing anything, and it's got to be tough to come in and be a center in the NBA. But I think he's been doing a respectable job.
Yeah, that play turned it over trying to pass it to Dame. Just finish with your left.
Yeah.
That was such a good move. The little, pound over across in front. The footwork was good. He would have jumped off his left, but, that's the thing is creative players are able to finish, jumping off their left with their left hand going away from the rim a little bit. And it's I feel like he could be that type of guy who's just, able to just finish in unique ways and has good footwork and just able to get his way to spots, even though he's not the quickest guy, I mean, look at, a Kyle Anderson type of player, and that's the thing. That move looked great, and then he could have just finished it with his left, and he tries to kick it back to Dame. It's I expect that out of an undrafted rookie two-way player playing in meaningful minutes, so, you expect that sort of thing. It's just dang, man, you had that. But then comes back, has a really nice cut, and finishes a floater off a feed from Dame. A good play. Yep. It's been smart defensively. He seems so ahead of his time as a rookie in regards to his, basketball IQ. He seems to see things, especially on the defensive end, he seems to see things developing quickly for a rookie. right? Like, he's not the quickest guy, but he gets to spots quickly defensively. He gets where he needs to be quickly defensively. And that's very rare for a rookie to be able to see things as quickly as I think he's seeing things defensively. I mean, I think he's seeing things quicker defensively than most of our vets right now. A small sample size, but still, I've been very impressed with that, and then just some of his decision making offensively, and just kind of how he's been able to fit in. He made the right cut today, those sort of things I've been impressed with.
Well, playmaking big who can put it on the floor and get to the rim and also pass a little bit. That's always a skill that is useful in the NBA. So if you can find a way to maybe use that in his limited minutes if he's going to get a couple minutes a game. But the thing with me is, in order to be a good NBA player, he has to be a competent defender. And so far in these 2 games where he's played a few minutes, I feel like he has come in and not made many mistakes on defense. And for a team that is constantly making mistakes on defense, it's kind of funny that one person who comes in and doesn't make a mistake, like, that's seemingly important or stands out, because that shouldn't be the case. But at least you can say, like, hey, man, this guy's flying around. He's in the right spots. And so far, I don't think he's really had too big of a miscue in the, I think it was like 7 minutes one game and 5 minutes this game, so about 12 minutes of action, that he really hasn't stood out to me as doing anything too horrific on the defensive end like most players on our team.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree with that. So anyway, those are the player cards. Let's get caught up on the donos, Eric. Shout out to Zach. Wait, no, I already read that one. Shout out to Brady. $20 dono. Brady's new job is helping him carry along this conversation. Appreciate it, Brady, with the $20 dono. Says, screw the Huskies. Dubs suck. You guys are homies and I love this channel. Somewhere to that, when the Blazers suck or cheer when they win, salute to you guys. Zach, the Beavers suck. I don't know if Brady's drunk.
Later on, he had a $5 donation that says somewhere to vent, damn autocorrect. So he meant to say, I love this channel, somewhere to vent when the Blazers suck.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was... when you like read something off in like the rhythm of the words or like where the pauses are, it's hard to tell, so you read it off in like a rhythm that doesn't make sense, but then if you read it off differently, it does. I was really trying to like find the way to say his words in a way that made sense, and I had no chance.
Oh, well then Zach, this wasn't a donation, but he says, Duck fans can't even get their super chats right the first time.
Oh, this is awesome. Zach, $2 dono says, I stand with Cristobal. He's a Miami fan, I guess. Shout out to Rip City Brady, $5 dono. I'll go back and thank the other one in a sec, but shout out to Rip City Brady, $5 dono. He says, Dan Lanning, baby, good riddance, Cristobal. Zach, Beavers don't suck. They just aren't good.
I mean, this is the wrong season to like start talking crap, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
the Beavers were actually decent this year, but whatever, go on. Keep dominating.
If you guys want to keep on your conversation, I'll keep narrating it for you guys. I am perfectly happy to narrate this conversation for y'all. Shout out to Daniel G, $5 dono, says, I live in Spokane, Washington now, but grew up in West Salem. I love when the Ducks beat the Huskies and Cougars. Go Blazers! Appreciate you, Daniel G. Shout out to Mike Aldridge for becoming a starter level member. Shout out to... Mike Aldridge is my biggest hater, but he's a channel member. I don't get it. Shout out to Connor.
Mike, thanks for joining. I got. Dude, get off my boy, Mike.
Yeah, just let me be, man. You can keep gassing up Eric all you want. I have no problem with you gassing up Eric. Be Eric's biggest fan and not my biggest hater. Let's have some positivity. Shout out to Connor, 2-month channel member. Here's his member message of a month. Every channel member gets a message each month. Connor says, YouTube, please let me spend my money. I mean, it's a member message, but yeah, I appreciate you, Connor.
I think he's having trouble super chatting.
He wants in on this.
Yeah.
He wants in on this.
Zach says he's gotta stop spending his money, but GG Brady, you win.
Brady won the Dono War, great Dono War of late 2021. Shout out to Brady. Good effort, Zach. Good fight.
So, much like the CJ and Norm conversation, we're on the same team, Tori. We don't need to have people in chat comment on which one of us is better. It doesn't really matter. We're on the same team, and we win together.
Yes. Honestly, I don't think I could find a co-host who agrees with me as much as you do. Like, we think the same. So it's always funny. We're like, Tori's takes suck and Eric's are great. Because I feel like we agree like 95% of the time. And when we disagree, it's just good entertainment because it's not forced. It's not like first take where, I mean, Max Kellerman's gone, but it's not first take where you're Stephen A. Smith and I'm Max Kellerman, and before the show we're like, okay, Eric, we need to disagree on this, and we need to disagree on this, and then we need to yell at each other about this.
People actually thought we did that, though.
I know. Yeah, I thought it was great. Nah, why would people think that? Because we agree.
I don't know.
I have heard that.
Well, it's not necessarily because we agree. It's because, like, I don't know. It's just the hatred towards Stotts, I think. And people think it was manufactured when it absolutely wasn't.
Yep. Anybody trying to pit us against each other is going to get a 5-minute ban, all right?
Oh, no, it's fine.
Nah. 5-minute ban to anybody trying to pit us against each other. Don't I don't know.
Brady used his member for 9 months message to say go Ducks.
Good job, Brady.
Go Ducks.
That's his victory. What'd you say? We need to clip that. Eric saying go Ducks. Or me saying go Ducks, because neither of us are Ducks fans. Shout out to Brady. That's his victory message.
And Mike Aldridge says, it's love-hate, brother. Only love Eric's way. Honestly, thank you both for making this content. So I think he's just messing.
I'm almost positive I know who that is. Do you have an idea?
I have no idea, but
maybe I think I know who it is. But anyway, appreciate you having a message that isn't downright hating on me, Mike. That's some progress. Appreciate it. Connor says apparently YouTube says no spending money for him. So I don't know. I can read your comments. Brady needs to chill, man. Hopefully, Brady. Hopefully that new job. Brady got a new job recently. Hopefully it's going well. I haven't been able to talk to him in voice call for a minute.
He's giving you money because he feels bad. He hasn't been your friend lately.
I know, man. He ditched me. You get this new job and doesn't talk to me no more, man. What type of priorities is that? He got his priorities straight now with the $20 down. Says last one of the night. Love y'all. Appreciate you, Brady, man. Hop in sometimes. Say what's up, man. Anyway, I don't. This isn't even a post-game show anymore, which is good. This reminds me of like year one Blazers Uprise. It's always good to take it back.
I know you're not gonna like this, but I think we need to watch Dame's post-game conference. There was something said that is noteworthy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like bad?
I don't think it's bad. He went off on all the reporters that are constantly asking him questions and all that kind of stuff.
Do you guys have a timestamp? I mean, it is only 6 minutes. I guess we could watch the whole thing. Sure, let's watch this whole interview, and then we'll go around the NBA really quick, and then we'll end the stream. And that'll be that.
I think that's the right decision.
Cool. All right. I need to pull it up, and there we go. And there we go.
It is not the beginning of Dame asking out Ernesto. It's actually the exact opposite of that, and please stop being disrespectful to him, and this is why he had to say this tonight. So
Yeah. Yep. There's people on Twitter that are like, why is he talking about how he's loyal so much? It's like because he keeps getting asked. If he says next question, you guys are gonna spit it like he wants out. So what is he supposed to do? I guess honestly, I'm looking forward to this.
Is there a different mindset or any emphasis going into it?
Nah, just same as always.
Did you have any feeling after those first couple shots that it was going to be a special night for you?
No, I mean I've had a few games where I come out and I make my first couple shots and then I end up not shooting the ball well. So I mean it was I tried to come out and just play with pace and just be in attack mode, and that was it. And it was the same situation as the last few games been. We just need to get a win, and tonight was that night.
It feels good. That went something off your chest.
Yeah, when you lose so many in a row, things start to go downhill, and it's not as fun being at practice and watching film and having to keep coming back and then come up short, then come back and come up short. So to get this one, this was a big win for us, and we needed to feel good about something, and getting the win usually does that. And now we gotta roll with it. We gotta make it turn into 2 and 3, and just try to pick ourselves up and digging out of the hole that we've put ourselves in. And tonight was a good start.
Is there anything in particular that stands out that you guys did well that you can keep?
I thought we did a lot of things more consistent than usual.
Hey, you talked about feeling like you guys were getting closer and closer to kind of getting over the hump. Did you at all feel like this game was a reflection of that, or is it more like just a really good performance from you and from them?
No, I thought we had a good performance. I think we started the game well. That's been one of our struggles, is how we've started games. And then the games that we've done a solid job starting, we usually let up. And I thought tonight we, put a longer stretch of good basketball together. And that's easier when you're making shots as a team like we did tonight. But it was just good for us to play with that energy and that, that swagger to us for a longer period of time and get a win against a good team.
When Ben shoots, you ever feel like he's going to miss?
No, I actually don't. It's one of the most pure jumpers I ever seen. It's quick. He believes in it, and I come in the gym and I just see him constantly shooting. Running around the three-point line, shooting, running baseline, shooting, catch and shoot, and doing it at a game pace. And he knows who he is. He knows what he brings to a team, and he stays ready, and he's always prepared. And I think that's something you got to give him a lot of credit for. He didn't play the first 15, 20 games, and you throw him out there, and he right away firing and making shots. So that's who he is.
He seems like a guy who is like, he can just get hot. Like there's just people who are just like, even when he was getting hit maybe 2-3 in a row, you were looking for him like right away. What is it sort of about maybe that type of shooter that is so dangerous?
I mean, you got a lot of guys that can shoot the ball in the league and get hot. I think I can get hot. CJ can get hot. Ant can get hot. And then you got guys that are just flat-out snipers. And when they get hot, it's like they'll just keep making them and keep making them. And, that's what you see from guys like Kyle Korver used to do it. And you'll see Klay Thompson do it and stuff like that. Guys who are, usually just catching and shooting the ball, and they just don't miss. I think he's that type of sniper. So when the ball is going in for him, that's what he's out there to do. And I'm gonna look for him and try to give him every opportunity, especially when he gets rolling.
I don't know if I'd go with Ben Mclemore being Klay Thompson or Kyle Korver, but the sentiments I agree with. Mm-hmm. It's funny the way he phrased that. Didn't think I'd be hearing that this year, but I agree with him being just that sniper, that pure catch and shoot guy that can get hot. But he had a Dame-inspired step back too. That's how you know a guy like that is hot, when he pulls something like that out. So, anyway.
Turn one over, try to get.
I know, bad pass.
Thompson said he thought maybe you guys were overthinking things a little bit the last few games. After that, you played more freely.
Yeah, it's when you are in the middle of adversity and you're struggling, I think sometimes you're trying so hard that you just you don't want to make a mistake and you want to do everything right and you want to check every box. And, that kind of takes like you said, playing free and just being loose and just depending on your instincts. It kind of makes you pull back from that. And, that's not what we want, but that's natural, when you care and you really want something to change. And I think we kind of did that. We were just hesitant to do something that might be simple. We were just overthinking certain situations probably. And I think it was like that out of care and wanting to change it. And tonight it was like, man, we've been having that mentality for a couple games and we've been right there and we lose. So tonight I thought we played a lot more free.
Is this a relief at all, Dame, to get this win? Because I'm looking at your affect now too, and it seems like you seem a little mad still, a little bit. So I'm curious, if you feel like you don't want to
I'm happy we won the game.
Right.
That's what we come here to do. I felt happy throughout the game. After the game in the locker room, I felt happy. But when I come here and I got to answer questions, and I have done so much in my career, you know what I mean? Specifically in Portland, I've given everything, you know what I'm saying? I've never made an excuse. I've never disrespected any of y'all. I've never not given you guys time. And, just when our team is going through it, I'm in a little bit of a struggle. I see certain people not giving me that same respect. So that's why, I'm a little irritated in here. But with my team, I'm happy with what we did. So that's that. I just don't. I still come in here and give that same time, but I don't appreciate it, man. So, it'll be handled that way going forward. So that's that.
Dang. Damn. Okay. Yeah. So thoughts on that?
Yeah, good for Dame. Good for Dame.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want, because how many times does he have to say he's not leaving Portland, right? And the day after he did it, a few days ago, they still asked him about it the next day, and it's stop. I think that was Holdall that asked that question, so I doubt it was directed at him, because I think that was just in general. It wasn't directed at the reporter. But I kind of want Dame to just be like, man, shut the F up every time someone says that. I've answered that question a million times. Just don't ask me again, or I'm not going to freaking answer another question from yours ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime he just has to stand up if he wants it to stop.
I don't it doesn't seem like it'd be directed again towards anybody that is local media, though. That seems more like a national media thing. So I guess that's where I'm kind of confused as to who he's talking about that would be in that media room.
The only thing I can think of is it's someone that is still questioning him on Twitter or something, which I don't follow a lot of those guys on there. I don't think it's Quick. But yeah, I don't know. Or is it Quick, maybe?
Why are people saying Jason Quick? Who do you guys think it is and why? Let me know in chat. Because I don't.
But here's the deal. There was that. So, all joking aside, there's some people who said, people are going to run him out of Portland if they keep saying crap. Why would national media saying crap run him out of Portland, or even a media member run him out of Portland, or change who he is as a character? And that's his whole point, is that those guys aren't going to ever dictate who he is as a person. So just leave him the F alone. That's all he's trying to say. And honestly, I'd like to thank Henry Abbott, because if Dame was considering leaving this summer, the Henry Abbott thing actually was the opposite of that. It's not going to force him to leave. It's going to force him to want to prove that guy is incorrect, and that when he tells him his source is wrong, I'm flat out telling you. I'm not this is coming directly from me. I've always been honest. That did not happen. And then Henry Abbott comes back at him and says, well, my source is pretty lock solid. I'm pretty sure it did, you know. And, like, that makes Dame, like, be like, if he requested a trade, then Henry Abbott could say, see, I was right, you know?
Yeah.
And Dame doesn't want that to happen. Dame doesn't want that guy to, like, be like that. And quite frankly, I mean, this program told you all summer long that we were not worried about Dame requesting a trade. And we were not worried about it because when it comes down to it, that is not who Dame is as a person. He's spoken out against it. And to request a trade this past offseason when stuff started to hit the fan would have been, I mean, I wouldn't blame him or anything, but it goes against everything he's said or been as a person throughout his entire life and career. So I just think it's so disrespectful to people to keep bringing up, like, you've lost 7 in a row. Does that mean you want out now? Do you want out now? How about now? How about now? How about now? Now? Okay, I know you just said it yesterday, but that was before you lost one more game. Do you want out now? And it's like you don't understand who Dame is. When he says he's in this through thick and thin, he is in it whether through the ups and downs. It's like a marriage to him now, you know, like he means that. He's not going to then bail the first time we go on a losing streak, right? Like that's how he is. So I am not worried about it. He likes Drew Cronin. He's actually vouched for him to get the job long term. He's been communicating with him. He likes Billups. There's no problem there. He wants to win for Billups. He wants to do this together with him. And it's freaking crazy that he's still being questioned after all this time. After this is now his 10th season in the NBA. He's not shown any sort of character flaws or like he often has won I think with Portland he's won the award every year for best media player who's like nicest to the media or whatever the award is. Yeah. And he's won that for the entire NBA, I believe, as well. Like this guy has done everything to be out in front. He talks about everything. He's dead honest with people, and they don't show him the same respect. So good for you, Dame, for finally sticking up for himself.
I don't even know if it's necessarily even about that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Vega says in chat, Jason Quick has an article called "What in the World is Wrong with the Trailblazers?" Dame isn't talking about the people asking him about the trade thing.
Okay.
And I guess he didn't. I mean, I kind of assumed it was about that, but maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's just about what media members have been saying about this team. I'm not entirely sure. Richmond's podcast apparently said that we should consider trading Dame away.
Well, so did several other podcasts have said that.
So did several other podcasts, right? The superstar who's been loyal to Portland, right? The first superstar that wants to probably spend his entire career here, right? That's what it's like. We all talk about, Portland, small market, all these disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is, players might not want to stay here, if we get a superstar. We finally get a freaking superstar that wants to be here, that's loyal, and you have these fans of the team, which I say in quotes because a lot of times they don't act like fans of the team, that don't have that same loyalty to him. And it kind of pisses me off, and I think that's actually what it's about. I think that's what he means by, I've shown you guys respect, and then you guys won't respect me in the same way. Yeah. What did we say? What did I say? And what did you say? We said, we're not trading Dame. You sign him this section to the extension, even if, he's aging and maybe his production is, maybe not the same. You still show him that loyalty that he's shown us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a two-way street.
And you do it because he's earned it, no matter how much it is.
Absolutely.
It's $56 million in the second year. I don't care. You figure out how to make it work because Dame deserves it.
So when things hit the fan and all these other podcasts or shows or media members start saying, oh, we should trade Dame or we should explore trading Dame.
You should at least think about it because that's a lot of money and his value might go down. And
ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. It's like if you're in a relationship with somebody or a marriage with somebody, right? And you have like a bunch of issues, right? Maybe you get, a DUI, you have some things you're going through, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And they're with you when you're at your lowest, when you struggle, and they're still loyal to you. But then, you start to figure things out, and they're like, you know what, maybe they're not good enough, we should ditch them. That's a slap in the face. Right? So, it pisses me off that media members like that it pisses me off that media members are like that media members have said that. And I think that's actually what this is about. Mm-hmm. So, I absolutely agree with Dame. I'm proud to sit here and say I wasn't one of those. Because, I don't know, it seems pretty obvious to me that when you have a loyal superstar, you should be loyal to them.
Yeah.
But no, we should
especially,
rebuild, which could last a whole decade, Eric.
If this is about Quick, no offense to Quick, but Dame has been nothing but like gracious with his time. Whether whoever it's for, from what I've heard, in terms of the media, Dame is one of the least diva superstars in the history of sports, and he has always been more than willing to do interviews and to speak with people and stuff like that. And it's probably gotten a little old this hearing the trade talk and stuff like that. But this is why we said a few streams ago, we're not going to entertain Dame trade talk. We don't want you guys to spam our chat with it. We don't care. I don't care if that is the best thing for our team or if we got offered 18 first-round picks from Oklahoma City to trade Dame. I think we owe it to that guy to be here as long as he wants to be here.
Yep. And it's just funny because, I've gotten to a point where it's you guys know I don't like a lot of our coverage from other media platforms. And I'm outspoken, and I've probably burnt some bridges or some potential bridges by being critical, right, of other media members, media platforms, whatever, right? And I guarantee you most, if not pretty much all of them, don't respect what we do here, don't like us, whatever. You know what I mean? But this season, there's been times where I'm like, you know what, maybe I just shouldn't even criticize him, shouldn't even say what I think about some of the coverage, it should just take a back seat. You know what I mean? But then it's dude, what Dame's saying is what I'd be saying. You know what I mean? Dame is annoyed with them too. And I feel like the way he said that, it wasn't just one guy. It wasn't just one guy in that room. So, I don't know. You guys know how I feel. I don't need to go too much into depth about anyone in particular or anything in particular. This year, just kind of focused on, okay, how can we be the best versions of ourselves as a duo, as a platform, that sort of thing. Trying to entertain you guys, make the product as good as possible for you guys. But one of the reasons I wanted to do this was because I didn't like the local media coverage of this team. And that has not changed one bit, even though I've talked about it less. So,
yeah, let's get caught up on the donuts real quick, and then I have some. We have several. Dro with the $2 donation. Dame got Mama's cooking. It's towards Stephen A. Smith.
maybe. You could probably lump Stephen A. Smith in there because Stephen A. Smith is just ridiculous.
Every day he's going on there saying Dame should request a trade in New York or some crap.
Yeah. The 12-16 New York Knicks.
And then the original Dizzy D, what's up, Dizzy? $2 dono. Letting this alter ego Dame Dalla handle the media. Yeah, he should just start dropping bars.
Dude, he like
Hit
his
pieces on media.
Okay, Dame Jr. and I mean like he has 3 kids now. They're gonna be well raised, man, because they're gonna have to respect him. He's a scary guy when he's like mad. He's not somebody you
Not in like a physical way, but like,
yeah, but it's just like in a the dude is. I mean, I felt intimidated watching that. I couldn't imagine being in that room. Like the dude, there's just something different about Dame. Like I don't know what it is, but there's something different about him. You know, beyond the basketball court that I like. So, that was the Dame Dalla alter ego. I agree with that. Thank you, Dizzy D. Shout Clearly a Bot. We got Clearly a Bot up in here. $5 dono says, thanks to you both for the stream and for saying Dame wouldn't leave this summer. Finding the stream got me through the off season. I'm glad you found us. Glad you're now a member of this community. It was cool to meet you the other day. And yeah, you know, even if you guys disagree with us, I mean, I feel like we try and be logical rather than emotional most times. You know, we get emotional, of course, but I mean, just because things are going bad this season, you don't just give up Dame with how loyal he's been to you. Like, like there, you got to respect that as an organization, as a fan base. It's like you got a day one ride or die superstar, and you ain't gonna ride or die for him and what he wants. I don't respect that. Appreciate you Clearly a Bot for the $5 dono.
And this is a case where, fully aware at some point, Dame is not going to be prime Dame anymore, right? There's going to be a time where he's, you know, an aging superstar and some of his abilities will start to diminish. But I think this is Dame's point, and this has been our point all along. I believe he's done enough for this franchise. And being one of, I mean, I guess it's arguable, but, you know, best player of all time in our franchise history, that guy deserves for us to stick with him, even through his down years and when he starts to fall off as a player, instead of piling on him and start thinking, oh, well, maybe it'll be better to trade him. That's why I don't entertain that.
Yep. Well said. Shout out Daniel G. $5 dono. Appreciate you, Daniel. Says, that's the irony, is that we always whine and complain that no one wants to stay here long term, and yet the one guy we do have, people want to trade away. We can't ever sign stars. We've had bad luck through the draft. Oh, well, you got a freaking superstar and you're trying to trade him. It's ironic. I agree. Appreciate you, Daniel.
And I think it was Aeromancer asked, why don't you guys extend the same loyalty to CJ? Why do you want to trade him? Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer that?
Go ahead and answer it, Eric.
All right. What was it? 2 post-game shows ago? Did I not have a whole rant about that? Did I not say I feel like we don't give CJ that same respect? Have I not said that? I clearly think we have not given CJ the loyalty and respect that we do with Dame. However, CJ is not a multi-time All-Star. He's a 0-time All-Star. CJ is a 0-time All-NBA player. CJ is not in the conversation for MVP. CJ is not on First Take every day being discussed on how he should join up with the super team and being convinced to be out of Portland. He is a good player who has been well paid, and some can argue more paid than he maybe deserves for being here. I don't think he's overpaid, but like at the same time, he's compensated fairly for what he does, what he's brought, and he's been here. I don't know if it's necessarily a loyalty thing as much as it is Portland has just paid him what he's worth or more than he's worth throughout this whole process, and it's made sense for him to stay. But I would be kind of sad when we trade CJ, or if he is traded. But at the same time, I do respect him, and but like he's
not the face of the franchise. He's not the leader of the team. He's not. He's not
and he's
Dame.
too similar to Dame. He's too like. So I understand that makes sense. We're not going to trade Dame, so that means if we want to get better at another position, his contract and his value is pretty much the only means to get there. So it's not a disrespect to him. It's just saying that's where we stand with him.
Yeah, and you respect the loyalty of a guy more so when he's gotten to an even higher level. When he's grinded as hard as Dame has to get to an even higher level. Yeah. And the thing is superstars have the most freedom compared to guys like CJ. Superstars have more freedom, they have more power. So when you have Dame who has more power of decisions and where he wants to be than a guy like CJ, and he with all that power still wants to be here, you respect it. So it's two completely different situations. But I've always said I felt like CJ is too disrespected by this fan base as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it's like, I don't know, how many athletes marry their high school sweethearts and then when they get famous, get in a much bigger pool with more women and, leave their situation. So to your point, it's every team wants a guy like Dame. Not every team necessarily wants CJ right now in his contract, but yeah.
Yep. Anyway, anything else that you want to say on that whole thing?
Yeah, I just want to say, Lamza, you do not deserve a follow from Dame. You're a fraud, and don't try to act like you're cool about Dame now when you've been talking crap about him all season.
He is a fraud, yeah. Because he would say free Dame, but then also trashing Dame, saying he's watched all sorts of stuff, and now he's in here laughing about like Dame owned the media tonight, bro. That would include you too, man. That's what's funny. So yeah, what? I don't understand. I don't understand.
And Tori, I have not even told you this yet.
What?
So a few weeks ago when Bobby Marks had that video or article or something where he basically said we should trade Dame because you can't pay him $50 million. His value isn't going to be that in a few years, and he had all these Blazer fans up in arms about it. Do you remember that?
No. I didn't know that happened.
So it was right around the hit piece that Woj did. So Bobby Marks had a video explaining how devalued Lillard will be in a trade if we sign him to an extension, and we can't afford to do that. We need to trade him now before he requests that extension or whatever. And he got all this hate from media and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But so first of all, I have to give Bobby Marks credit. Every time I've slid into his DMs and asked him a question, he has responded to me. I'll just say that. He often never actually answers my question. I'm trying to be thoughtful and get a good response. For example, I asked him a question about because it was that summer where we had Whiteside as a free agent. Everyone was talking about signing and trading him and stuff. So I asked him a question about if when you were a GM, did you ever go into an off-season planning on being signing, trading a player or making that part of your off-season, or is it something that just kind of happened naturally if the moment presented itself, another team needed him and if it worked out in the right situation, you made it? And he was like, well, there was 10 sign and trades last summer. I just think it's going to become a normal thing. And I'm like, well, that's not what I asked you. But so I was asking him a question about Dame's extension since he's on a supermax, if that would mean he wouldn't be tradable for a year, or if it's the 6 month because it's an extension, right?
Yeah.
And then I also asked him if he thinks that the supermax actually penalizes small market teams, that it's supposed to help, and that I wish the NBA counted the supermax contracts as just a normal max contract but they get paid the more amount. But towards the salary cap, it only counts as a max contract, similar to how they do it with minimum contracts, where a veteran like Carmelo Anthony makes, $2.5 million, but he only counts against the cap for 1.7 to encourage teams to not just sign younger people instead of veterans, right? Yeah. So his response was, I still think the Lillard contract has value for now. Don't think an extra 2 years will, though. And so
that's all he said.
Yeah. So I said, I don't mean in trades. I mean like for the team paying him to stay. Teams like Portland shouldn't be put in a position where if their star is loyal and wants to stay, it kills their cap space, in my opinion. And he responded with, it's worked out fine for Milwaukee. You need to do a better job of building around him. Like, so, okay. I said, for sure, it worked out with Milwaukee, and I know being a Blazer fan leads this discussion towards Dame. I was just talking about, in general, the reward for a small market team to tie up 40% of their cap space because their star player wants to re-sign with them actually penalizes them. You're right. In this situation, the Blazers could have done more beforehand, but obviously that you can't change that now. And then he responded with, NBA teams are worth billions of dollars. There's no small market teams anymore. I'm like,
what?
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
you need to be the next Bobby Marks, Eric.
I know. Yeah. And then he responded later, maybe Indiana still is, but that's it. Like, that's not my question. Like,
maybe Indiana still is. That's funny.
I don't like the small market thing wasn't even the deal. It's like, because the Supermax was put in to specifically allow teams to overpay to keep someone who was good for them and to make like them think, oh, I could lose a lot of money if I want to switch teams or whatever. But like the only teams that have had their players stay have actually been really hurt by them staying financially in terms of the salary cap and what that does. So like I was just asking for his opinion on that. But yeah, apparently that just means there's no small market teams anymore. But yeah.
Yeah. That's something. Anything else you want
I think it was just defensive though because of that other thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Shout out Brady, $2 donor. He says shots fired at Indiana. Jesus. Yeah, Indiana catching strays, as Connor says. Anyway, Erwin, are you trying to be annoying as hell, man? Like, chill. Anyway, I'll let you have your opinions, but it seems like you're trying to be annoying with them, man. That's my opinion. Anyway, anything else you want to say on anything before we go around the NBA to
no, let's do. Sorry to extend the time.
It's all fun. It's all good. It's a Friday night.
I thought you would like that.
It's now yeah. It's now a Saturday morning actually. So but it's weekend, so we good. The Heat beat the Magic 115-105. Wendell Carter Jr. looks like he went out with a serious knee injury, which you hate to see. Let me get the box scores on my phone. I'll just rattle off a couple of stats. Shout out to Kyle Wilson. Do you wanna read that, Dono?
Sure, Kyle Wilson. $5 dono says, Marks clearly just hates small markets. I don't know anyone with any common sense who would think that Portland and Indiana are on the same level as LA or New York. And yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, the Knicks haven't really been a destination, but, obviously the Lakers have a huge advantage over other teams, especially when you get guys like LeBron to sign there and he recruits players to come as well.
Denying that is just weird. I don't get it. I appreciate you, Kyle. Anyway, in this Heat win, Max Strus, 32 points off the bench, 11 for 15, shooting 8 for 11 from 3. He was their Ben Mclemore tonight. Gabe Vincent had 27 on 10 for 20 shooting, so they were without Adebayo, they were without Jimmy Butler, but Gabe Vincent and Strus, I think, came into the league the same year and were two-way guys with the Heat, and they looked impressive tonight, leading them with numerous guys down. For the Magic, still without who is A Ford? Aleem Ford. All right, well, we have a player I've never heard of that played in this game, which is extremely rare, Eric. Have you ever heard of Aleem Ford?
No, I have not.
I think this is going to start happening. Wait, who is this? Who is Hassani Gravit?
I feel like you're making up names right now.
Bro, I promise you, I am not making up names. So, me and Eric are nerds in regards to knowing NBA players, even the most obscure NBA players we know. Like, we pay attention to college basketball, all sorts of things. So, whenever there's a player that we don't know, it's always like, what? Who? Huh? It's always like a big deal, right? Who in the freaking world is Aleem Form? Look up the Magic box score, Eric. I am not trolling you. This is going to start happening because the NBA doesn't want to cancel games, and supposedly they're going to force teams that have players in health and safety protocols. They're going to force teams to use their hardship exemptions to sign
randos.
players, like random players. So it's a situation where you have so many players going into health and safety protocols. They're not going to cancel a season. I've seen people talk about that. They're not going to do that. They're not trying to even cancel games. They're going to force teams to sign random players. So there's probably going to be some more names in the future that we've never heard of, which is interesting. Because honestly, I bet you could put together, show us every player in the G League and we could name at least half of them.
Aleem Ford doesn't even have an NBA page on Basketball Reference, so this must have been his first game.
Played at Wisconsin.
He has one season. He played 12 games for the Lakers G League team last year. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Aleem Ford college.
Well, I guess there wasn't much of a season. So
I wonder if he started in college. Let's look at his college stats. I mean, he started 2 years for Wisconsin, but I don't remember him. He was only an 8-point per game score. So I don't know. Where's my call, NBA? Put me in the league, and people can say I've never heard of him. And then what a name, Hassani Gravit from South Carolina. Yeah, I don't know, which means he was on that South Carolina team. Maybe that was in the Final Four against Gonzaga with PJ Dozier, but he definitely didn't start, so I don't know. Anyway, that's interesting. I want to see if there's any others, man, because for you guys, it's like there's probably, I don't know. For most of y'all, I feel like there's a couple players on every team that you probably haven't necessarily heard of, but for us, it's a big deal anyway. That's something. You got the Golden State Warriors defeating the Boston Celtics. Golden State, I know all those guys. I was almost like, who's this Freedom guy? And then I remembered for Boston. Jason Tatum had 27. Curry had 30 on 5 for 14 from 3. Wiggins 27. The Denver Nuggets beat the Atlanta Hawks 133-115. Nuggets led by Bones Highland off the bench, had 24. He recently got sent home for violation of team rules or something, and he comes back with a vengeance. So big game for Bones. I mean, with Norm struggling today, there's your one bit of silver lining, Chris, as Bones had a good game because that's also your guy. Monte Morris 21 as well for the Hawks. 34 for Trae Young. I know all those players. I'm disappointed. All right, you got the Bucks losing to the Bucks lost to the Pelicans. Dude, the league is in such a weird spot with all these guys missing time. The Bucks were without Giannis, were without Chris Middleton, they had Drew Holiday. He had 40 on 36 shot attempts. You got Rodney Hood, 1 for 6 off the bench. I don't think there's any chance anymore that he comes back the same player after that injury or even close because he's still struggling. More than almost 2 years removed, actually. But, he got some time tonight. Javonte Smart got some time off the bench. For the Pelicans, Devontae Graham what were your thoughts on that buzzer beater sequence from OKC? Because I don't think we ever talked about it on air.
That was insane.
That was something else.
Yeah.
That was like you remember that play where Rudy Gay hit that insane shot, then Tyreek Evans hit that past half court buzzer beater. That's kind of reminds me of that, but even better, even deeper shots. That was phenomenal. Yep. For the Pelicans, dude, I know all these players, and I know you know all these players. I'm disappointed. I want to be surprised. The Spurs beat the Jazz 128-126. So with all these players going to health and safety protocols, you're going to have some weird scores like the Pelicans beating the Bucks, the Spurs beating the Jazz. This was a very high-scoring game. The Spurs led by 24 from Keldon Johnson. They haven't been hit too hard by health and safety protocols. Neither have the Utah Jazz. They had 27 from Donovan Mitchell.
Actually, the Blazers have, and I'm crossing my fingers while I said this.
I feel like we've had the best luck, knock on wood, in regards to that. Obviously, in regards to
Unfortunately,
injuries,
that
it's different. Yeah, so, I mean, it's still kind of caught up to us, but still, overall, haven't been in too tough of a situation in regards to that, especially compared to other teams. Timberwolves blow out the Lakers 110-92. The Timberwolves get 28 from Cat, 17 from Russell and Beasley. The Lakers had LeBron, had AD, had Westbrook.
I think AD left early with an injury.
Do you know if it's serious or was it an AD injury?
It was an AD injury, I think.
Okay, so he'll be back soon. Isaiah Thomas is back in the league, and he had 19 off the bench in 22 minutes.
Did Ariza end up playing? I saw he was like questionable or something.
He was DNP coach's decision.
Okay, so probably just conditioning thing.
Yep, but Isaiah Thomas back in the league has a good game off the bench for the Lakers. The Lakers always bring back the same players, man.
Mm-hmm.
Always bring back guys that they've already had. Isaiah Thomas is one of them. Jay Huff got 5 minutes for them tonight. You know who that is, though, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Dang it, man. Anyway, one more game tonight.
Hey, man, we got 2 tonight. That's all.
Yeah, but they're all the same team. Of course, it's the Magic, man. It's going to be like the Pistons next if they run into trouble because they always have the most obscure players, I feel like. 2 more games, actually. Our game, of course, with a win. Love to see it. And then the Grizzlies continue their insane play without Ja Morant. We face them again up next. We'll look at that in a second. They end up beating the Kings 124 to 105. Desmond Bane, 24. Dylan Brooks, 23. Jaren Jackson Jr., 21. Melton, 19 off the bench. Tilly, 8 points in 13 minutes. My guy, Killian Tilly. Nice to see him making a little bit of noise for the Kings. Halliburton had 21. They're still starting Metu. Marvin Bagley didn't play. I don't know if it's because he's still out of...
The Kings had like a ton of guys with COVID, so...
Yeah.
Bagley was one of them.
I know all the players on their bench, man. I'm disappointed. But 2, that's a good mark. No, that wasn't around the NBA. Why did I click off of that? We got we got notable performances. Good to see Dame on the top. 43. Drew with 40. Cat, good game. Trae Young and then Max Strus, probably the most obscure player to make this graphic all season long. So shout out to the Strus, man. Western Conference standings, we're tied for 10th and 12th. So, I mean, cool, man. We're only... How many games back? We're only 4.5 games out of 5th.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We're only 2.5 games out of last and 4.5 games out of 5th. So, who knows, dude? Who knows how this season goes? Still early enough that, I mean, I think there's still a chance we get a 5th or a 6th seed. What do you think?
I'm not gonna make any comment like that right now. I'm done like getting optimism. If they go on a streak and start playing well, I will begin to lessen that stance each game, but I'm not going to. I don't
think that saying something isn't impossible is necessarily optimism. I'm just saying I don't think it isn't impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only 4.5 games back with
just
what?
Knowing the Blazers, they'll be like, oh, yeah, we're back. We won a game, and then just come out completely flat, not doing any of the things in the first half that they did to win.
I feel like they'll get the 8th seed and then like win the play-in and get the 7th seed and face Golden State or Phoenix and then just get trounced. That's my prediction at this point, unfortunately. But nice to get the win tonight. Let's look at the East. The East, you got Brooklyn up top, Chicago, Milwaukee. I feel like that's the consensus top 3. But, I mean, Cleveland's only a half game out of 2nd place. So Cleveland is this year's New York, it seems like. Man. New York is last year's Cleveland. So they switched places because Cleveland started decently last year and then fell off. New York started decently but have really struggled lately. Indiana is at 13 and 18 in 13th place. They're only 3 games back of 6th. So it's really jam-packed. We beat Charlotte tonight. They're kind of in the same pack as like Washington, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Boston, Toronto. So still just an absolute mess there in the East. But Brooklyn is getting Kyrie back. He's going to play road games, and a big part of that is because they've had so many players enter health and safety protocols. They're like, screw it, we need players. I guess we'll let Kyrie play road games. We'll see if their next road game is at Portland on the 23rd. Mm-hmm. Which segues us into this. We got 2 road games, right? In the middle of a stretch of a bunch of home games, we got these 2 road games, Memphis and New Orleans. Just go 1-1. Just go 1-1. We suck on the road, so just go 1-1 here. That's all I'm gonna say on that. That's pretty. Do you think do you think we can go 1-1, Eric?
I think we can. Yes.
I set that up for you perfectly. Yeah, I mean, Memphis has played great. That would be a huge win. Maybe give us some momentum. I mean, if you can go 2-0 on this road trip, come home. Hopefully we get CJ back soon. I mean, it's not terrible, but Brooklyn, that's probably going to be a tough game. Going to see how we guard KD. I'm kind of scared for that. Roko against KD is probably going to be the situation there. That's kind of scary. But then 3 days off once again over the course of Christmas. So Brooklyn and then some rest. Then we got Dallas and Utah. So a tough homestand coming up the final 3 games here. Did you have any thoughts? Do you care to say anything about this?
No, I mean, if the team that showed up in the first half shows up consistently, I still agree with you that we could find a way to fight back into the standings and be relevant. If the second half team, which we've seen a lot lately, shows its face, I mean, I don't think let's just put it this way. We could win every one of these games. We could lose every one of these games very badly. So it's just kind of weird right now.
Agree. Let's end things off with a good old classic Gray Hughes Investigates donation. Appreciate you, Gray. $10 dono. He says, will there be a game where we win going away by 30, or do we just like letting teams back into games to freak out the fans? Anyhow, have a good one. Got here late. Appreciate you, Gray. I mean, we had a 30-point blowout to start the season against Phoenix. When we were healthy and doing things the right way and really locked in defensively, we were able to get some blowout wins. The problem is we've regressed in regards to our defensive focus, and I have no confidence in this team being focused enough defensively or being able to put together a consistent enough effort to be able to win games like that right now.
Yeah, I agree.
So, appreciate you, Gray. Glad to see you tonight. Anyway, anything else you want to say for the stream before I sign things off?
Thank you to everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. Even those that disagree with us, we respect you as well. And everyone have a good night. Go Dame. Go Blazers.
Yes, sir. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to Brady and Zach for fighting in our donations tonight. That was fun. And thank you to everybody for making us a part of your Friday night and Saturday morning. We will catch you on Sunday with a post-game show as the Blazers go on the road to face Memphis. Hopefully they can get some revenge. Until then, have a good Saturday. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.